Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Halas Hangover. This is 4-Star Chicago Sports, and we are live, and we got a jam-packed show for you this afternoon, or I should say this evening. We're going to talk about some developments we'd like to see in our 2025 Chicago Bears. The Bears are talking about adding a couple final pieces to this roster. We're going to break that down, and let's vet some of this trade history for Ryan Poles. All that and a lot more inside the hall next. Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to the Halas Hangover. As always, I got my boys Brandon and Dustin in the house. Kyle's taking a day off. He has some personal business to handle. But how are you two boys doing today?
Doing great. What up? What's up, everybody in the chat?
Feeling good.
We got breaking news
Monday.
Bruce and Relentless Mikey in the house.
What's up, fellas?
What's going on? Thanks for joining us and jumping in early here today. Boys, how was your holiday weekend?
That was good, man. I worked all weekend, but my brother came into town, my brother and his wife, and their little baby girl, nice. So got to hang out a little bit, saw some fireworks. Nothing crazy.
That was pretty solid.
Life is good.
I went tubing down a river.
Atta boy.
All day Saturday.
Were you being pulled by a boat, or were you just floating on a river?
No, yeah, the Sugar River. You go up to Albany, Wisconsin, get in a tube, and it kind of just carries you downstream for 4 or 5 hours until you get off at this exit port where they bus you back to where your car is.
Oh, that's pretty awesome.
You can bring your dogs. Awesome. You can bring liquor, whatever you want, man.
Where do you keep all that when you're floating down the river?
And another
tube just for the cooler.
Yeah.
And then they have dog tubes with wood underneath them so the dog doesn't sink. You know what I mean? They're like propped up in the tube.
I gotta try that.
It's pretty fun, man.
Like fun.
We've done it a bunch.
Did you guys take the dogs?
Yeah.
Oh shit! They're just yapping the whole time.
Nah, man, they just because
they get pretty chill.
Like, they're so curious about like this. Well, I'll say this, man. The little one, my girlfriend, she's got 2 little Pomeranians, man. You know those things ain't shit. Like any predator, a fucking family of ants
fly out away.
Could carry. Well, so no, that's what's funny. The little one, man, he's keen to shit. The hawks up top will start doing circles, and he looks up and just starts like. It's like, man, he's pretty solid. He knows where his enemies are at, dude.
Until one of those hawks comes down.
Yeah, and just eats him.
Not gonna be able to do much. So hopefully, I'm glad that didn't happen. I'm glad you guys had a good time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's cool, man. We've done it a few times the last few years. It's fun.
How far up north were you?
That's about an hour, 20 minutes.
Hour, 20 minutes. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not too bad, man. The drive's just straight highway. Like it feels faster than it is.
So we were up there, and we got challenged by a Packers and Brewers fan walked up to us and looked at me and goes, "Man, I don't like your hat." He goes, "We want to whoop your ass in darts." And we were pretty hammered, but they took.
So I punched him in the face.
No, it took all 5 games. We played a best of 5. Well, we took them down, thank God, because it was on my birthday, and I didn't want to lose on my birthday because the Cubs got me a big win. So
John's like, it's a good thing we won because I didn't want to have to stab him with the darts.
It would have been close. It would have been close. The guys, it was pretty funny.
You had a good time on your trip, Sean? Everything was good?
Oh yeah. It was nice and relaxing. Hammered every day, living the boat life. So.
Oh yeah. We can see you got some sun, bro.
Yeah, and I'll be on roofs tomorrow, increasing this. Back to reality, boys.
Just add on, yeah.
So
at least you're past the point of burning.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty brown from head to toe at this point, from Siesta Key to northern Wisconsin,
all the way to Pismo Bay.
Yeah.
So 2 weeks from everywhere.
Boys? We got some Chicago Bears developments, things we'd like to see.
Developments, really? Okay.
2025 Chicago Bears, man. What do we want to see change from last year? Developments on the defense, from the quarterback. You guys give me a couple of years. Brandon, you said you were locked and loaded on this title, so give me what you got.
Yeah, I'm talking more developments from the preseason. So what I was talking, I want to things that I think have been established through training camp and the mini camps and all those things, like things that the Bears are ahead of. By the time preseason begins, we're already getting kind of a sample size of something that I wish to see more of as the season progresses, man. And my first thing was, and we've talked a lot about this, man, is Luther Burden might not get the opportunity he requires at the receiver position, being behind two studs. I want to see Luther Burden taking some kick and punt returns by the time the preseason starts, man, even if it's game one. And I know the guy's been slow rolled because of the injury, but I still want to see him just getting involved in any way that he can and putting the ball into the hands of a playmaker like that in that fashion. The kick return, punt return always gives an ability for a guy like that to make big plays, man. So that was one of my things.
Let's take it a step further, though, and just say that whenever Luther Burden gets the ball in his hands in the SEC as in college, and this guy is just a playmaker with the ball in his hands. So the development that I would like to see even beyond that, man, is they get this guy on the field in preseason, and he starts getting the ball in his hands, getting the opportunity to show what he's capable of doing, to the point where the coaches have to continue to get him more and more involved as the season goes on. Because I truly believe, man, if Luther Burden starts getting opportunities, the opportunities is what I'm concerned about for the most part with Luther Burden. But once he starts,
same here. Yeah.
He will be impossible to deny, and he's going to be an immediate contributor on this offense as well, man. That's what I think.
I agree. I think he will be. I got a lot of hopes, man. I mean, if you watch his tape, when he got the ball in his hand, he was electric, and more times than not. So I'm really anxious to get him on the field and see what this kid has. I think he's going to surprise a lot of people, and I think we've talked about this before. I think once he gets on the field, it's going to be hard to keep him off.
Mm-hmm. And you never miss a beat when this fucking thing goes off. You hear that, right?
I don't hear it.
What are you talking about?
Never mind, man. I'm always wondering why you guys don't stop and react to that. My Alexa makes the loudest, like beep boop sound, and it's like directly in my ear, and I'm like, how come it never throws these guys off? It happens once every show, man.
Relentless Mikey says he wants to see what Duvernay can do,
and what Zacchaeus' role will be.
Yeah, I think
Duvernay is going to take the majority of the returns, no matter what happens with Luther Burden. I just
definitely the kick return. Definitely the kick return. Burden could be involved in that punt return more so. Brandon.
Yeah, and I just want to see the Bears getting Luther Burden the ball and getting him involved. Like, let's say that what's his face? I don't know what Austin Reed comes out and the offense isn't looking. You're not moving the ball like you want to. I just want to see Luther Burden involved. I want to see him getting the ball in any way.
I hope Luther Burden is not playing on the same team as Austin Reed.
I would imagine that's going to happen, man. You got
fucking way. No
way. You got to get him a lot of snaps. He's behind.
Hopefully the preseason he's with that second unit.
He'll be with the first, second unit, whereas he is not going to be with Austin Reed. But I mean, the Duvernay thing, talking about that's a development.
Whoa. I'd rather see Austin Reed than Case Keenum at this juncture.
That's a development that Bears fans should want to see, in terms of this Bears special teams actually having a reliable kick returner, a pro kick returner, and a guy who's got a lot of speed back there. So I mean, that's something I've been clamoring for years with this team. They have not had a consistent kick returner that you felt like could actually flip the field. I think Duvernay might show himself to be that guy, guys.
Yeah, not since Devin Hester.
He's got 2 touchdowns in his career.
So I'm excited to see how they rework this special teams unit. It's 4 phases. I know this isn't that regime, but it is 4 phases. All 4 phases have to be lock solid to win a championship, and you definitely want to see somebody be able to set the Bears up in good field position when they get the ball in their hands. Hopefully that is Devin Duvernay. That's why he was brought here, and that's what he was brought here to do. So, and again,
It was a much bigger need than people seem to give it credit for. That was a huge move in my mind. Duvernay being on this team is a huge, huge deal to me.
And I'm with Brandon too. If it takes a little time to ease Burden into this offense, let him do some kickoffs. Let him get some kickoff returns, punt returns. See if you get the ball in his hands. See if he can be electric. See if he can create for you. He's going to have to earn his way. Hopefully he's ready for training camp. Obviously we haven't heard much. I've been searching his name the last couple of days. I haven't seen anything. Everyone's on vacation. I saw, DJ Moore in Disneyland and a couple of these guys in the Bahamas. So, it's going to be hard to get a read on anything. But I believe we're only 17 days away.
Well, that's the
So,
biggest concern, Sean, with Burden is the health, is that injury, and if he's going to be if he's able to get out there and participate in the majority of training camp and be involved in preseason, I think, as we're all saying, this guy is going to be pretty hard to keep off the field once you start seeing what he can do. So I think that's really what it comes down to. Can he get back early enough to get involved in this offense? And I would say that's a possibility for sure, and that's a high possibility. I don't think you're going to find a third receiver on this team that's as talented as Luther Burden. I don't think that Zacchaeus, as good of a signing as that was, a good vet, that he can't do what Burden can do. It's just not even close. So I expect Burden to make an impact on this offense. It's just a matter of when. So yeah, Brandon, if they involve him in the punt return game, that's all good. But like, I want to see him involved in this offense as early and often as possible, to be quite honest.
As long as they play it responsibly. I don't want to be like, oh, he's healthy right before the preseason. Jam him in there. Like,
oh, that's what I don't have a concern about that. Do you have a concern that the Bears would do that? I don't. Sean, you got a concern that the Bears would rush Luther Burden back?
No,
I think they're gonna. I think DJ Moore and Rome
they got the ability to hold off if they need.
I think DJ Moore and Rome are going to play very little in the preseason. I would imagine. I think you're going to see a really healthy dose of Luther Burden and Zacchaeus and Duvernay and those guys.
I don't know how much any of those guys are going to play. I think it remains to be seen how Ben. That's an interesting thing too, guys. How does Ben Johnson approach these preseasons? We see how Sean McVay does it, and his guys don't play at all. Yeah. So I mean, like, these different coaches handle that in different ways, and he's never had that.
We saw the starting units not really play in the preseason, man. It doesn't bode well, as far as history would tell you.
Well, I mean, again, it's to each their own. Different coaches get different results and do it a different way. But I mean, like, you've seen Sean McVay consistently just hold everyone back in preseason, and they're a perennial playoff team.
I personally think going into this preseason, and I obviously have no clue.
We have no idea.
Yeah, but I think that it's going to be a little bit of a different preseason this year than what you might see going forward as he tries to figure out the roster in-game situations and with pads on, because he can
continue that theme of competition. Yeah,
correct. Yeah. I think for this year, I mean, and as Relentless Mike said, dude, it's a new scheme. Reps will be important, and I agree with that 100%. That's a great point. These guys have to get comfortable together out there as a cohesive unit. I think by week 3, man, that offensive line. I mean, by preseason game 3, I should say, I want to see that offensive line out there playing at least into the second quarter, if not into the third quarter after halftime, and see that unit kind of come together. I mean, it is the most important unit. And I'm seeing some of these. We saw PFF rank the Bears 4th line overall. The Bleacher Report, where'd they have them today, Dustin?
Well, that article was by Brent Sobleski, and what he's just flat. He listed the 5 most improved units in all of football.
5 most improved.
And the Bears' offensive line was number 1. This is gaining a lot of steam and a lot of traction. And we've had arguments about it, Sean, where you and Kyle were kind of saying, like, you don't think the offensive line had been addressed enough. You were concerned about depth. And I mean, my stance from the beginning has been you really couldn't have improved it much better than you did in one offseason. The Bears really addressed this in a major way. And what's cool is to see, like, the national media starting to address it. Now, when PFF says some shit, man, I don't know how much credence to give it. They literally just said Caleb Williams' ceiling is Jordan Love and his floor is a bust. Like, they put out some bullshit, man. So it's like, I don't want to jump too much on that, but when someone lists the most improved units in football and the Bears offensive line is number 1, and I like Brent Sobleski as a writer, so I give that a little more credence.
And ESPN just ranked the Bears running back room bottom 10, and that feels semi-realistic to me.
Here, I'll be honest, guys, and I'm not going to back off of this. Jonah Jackson still has a lot to prove to me, and I think that's the weakest link on this line. If the depth is better behind it, that's fine. You
think that's weaker than the left tackle?
I think it possibly could be. We'll see what Ozzie Trapilo does.
I think it depends on health with Jackson.
That's
really what it comes down to.
And here, I hate to say this, guys, but everyone bags on Braxton Jones. He wasn't the worst on the field. He was a monster in the run game. He did have his problems with bull rushes, power rushes, and things like that. But by far, he improved every year of his career. He has limitations. He is what he is.
Couple of notes. I want to back up your point, Sean.
Yeah,
Braxton Jones and Darnell Wright were both top 22 in the league at the tackle positions, right? By whatever. PFF had that Bears offensive line last year rated as 8th in the NFL in pass blocking. What the fuck am I missing? So what are we talking about here? Where they put them number 4 and they put the Eagles in front of them, the Broncos, the Bills, and then they had the Colts at 5. And the Colts just lost Ryan Kelly and Will Fries, and I'm not quite sure who they replaced them with. So I mean, like, there's going to be weak spots along these offensive lines, I guess, is the point. And also the other point is PFF kind of talks out of both sides of its mouth, and I don't understand a lot of what they put out. So I don't know how much to put into it in terms of that. We got to see it on the field at the end of the day, guys. We got to see it. But when you talk about the players that they've upgraded along that interior of that offensive line, you couldn't have done much better. You really couldn't have in one offseason.
And guys, I hope I'm wrong about Jonah Jackson. I just going off the last 2 years, it's what I see. So, I hope I'm wrong. I hope he plays 17 games, and I hope he has a great.
He probably won't.
Chicago Bears. I really do.
The trend would suggest that he's not going to play that many games, but I like Luke Newman an awful lot behind him. And I think the depth is better behind these guys than it was last year. And Relentless Mikey's with you, man. He says Jonah Jackson is the unknown to me, not a guaranteed baller, just food for thought. I mean, he was a baller in Ben Johnson's offense.
He was
in those first 2 years as the offensive coordinator. He was that starting right guard for Ben Johnson. So I mean, like, if he can get back to that form and get healthy, then that's about as good as it can get. Even if he is your weakest link, though, Sean, this offensive line is vastly improved. Even if he is the weakest link, right?
I don't disagree with that. And you know what? I don't want to be this guy, but if he does get hurt, people might find out that Bill Murray is actually better than Jonah Jackson.
I love Bill Murray too.
Yeah, that's just my opinion. I thought he could have played a role or given an opportunity to earn the starting role. I know it was a small sample size last year that he actually did play, but I thought he played very, very well.
I'd be okay with Luke Newman just being a starter.
That's what I was saying. But here, that's the point, Sean. Like, if we're talking about the depth, if you're talking about Jonah Jackson going down, you got Luke Newman, you got Bill Murray, who we've both already brought up, and then now you got Ryan Bates. So the depth is a lot better than it was last year for when these guys went down. I don't think that's really arguable. So I can see why. We just listed him third as the backup to the backup to the backup. So I mean, like, that's better, right? I mean, obviously, listen, we could cascade this into all of our topics, and we can be done with this show in 10 minutes because like that's another topic we want to get to. But I think between Bill Murray, Luke Newman, and Ryan Bates, we have a lot more depth than we're given credit for. And I think national media is starting to see that this offensive line is the real deal. And I think that should be comforting and confidence building for Bears fans, because we haven't been there in years with this offensive line.
And I'll say this too, and I don't know if this is going to happen, but I think if Trapilo is who we think he's going to be, or what the Bears think he's going to be, I think Karan Amagaji could turn into a guard, a humongous guard like Becton was for the Eagles last year. I still believe in Amagaji. I don't believe him as a tackle. I like him as a guard. That's just me.
Well, Sean, that just goes to show that the pieces are collectively better. You just got to get the guy who's going to fit them all together, man. Right? Like Ben Johnson's going to figure out where each person needs to play when they play, but the pieces are undoubtedly stronger
much
than
better
last year as a unit.
Yeah, and these guys are going to kind of just fall in line. If Trapilo is the starting left tackle on this team, he will show that, and Ben Johnson will reward him for that. And if Karan Amagaji plays himself into that swing tackle role, then that's the role he'll be in. I think the players are going to decide it at the end of the day. These question mark spots we have in terms of the left tackle, in terms of the backup guard, and all that. So I mean, like, it's going to play out on the field, and that's part of this preseason development stuff we're talking about too, Brandon. You're going to see somebody establish themselves as the starting left tackle for this team, because Braxton Jones is not just going to be gifted that, and he's injured. So I mean, he's not even there to fight for it right now. So if Ozzie Trapilo comes out and just blows everybody out of the water and never gives that job back, Braxton Jones don't stand a chance.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think there's a good chance. I mean, we've talked about it on the show. That injury. I mean, here I'll be honest. I broke my ankle, and
I have
obviously
too. Yeah.
not as severely as he did, because that was a very gruesome injury. But I did break it, and I broke like 13 of the little bones, and it took almost 8 months for me to get back on it. And I'm what, 190. This guy's 320 pounds,
A
6'5".
lot more weight on that. Yeah.
A lot more weight, and that's your anchor of your body. Everything goes on the. This is an uphill battle for him, and I hope they score big. I hope they score big with Ozzie Trapillo, because I am not confident that Braxton Jones, as much as they tell us, will be 100% raring to go on September 8th versus the Minnesota Vikings.
And even if he's ready, he might not be better than Trapillo at the end of the day. He's been average up to this point, and maybe Trapillo can establish himself as better. What's great is what Brandon just said, that you got much better pieces, and you got 4/5 of your offensive line set in stone for the most part, right? So like that one spot is going to play itself out, and the best man will win the job. So that again is a confidence inspiring thing. It's a position we have not been in for years as Bears fans in terms of evaluating this offensive line.
Romy says he apparently weighed in at 303, which is less than what he weighed before the injury, and they wanted him to gain more weight. well, not being able to, I mean, that's not bad. You figure not being able to move on your leg.
Yeah. Rehabbing that.
Yeah, you might gain weight. So, that's interesting. I haven't really looked into him that much.
It'll be a lot easier for him to put muscle on from that.
Yeah, that's true too.
So, I mean, like, who knows? These doctors and these players all got plans between them and the trainers and the doctors. So, I mean, hopefully Braxton Jones is approaching his rehab the way they want him to. And hopefully he's back and healthy, man. And he's a contributor to this team, but it remains to be seen.
I'm going to give you guys one here, because I read Warren Sharp just about every day. And the 5th worst quarterback last year at red zone completions was Caleb Williams. Yeah. He was 44%. There was Stafford, Mac Jones, Bo Nix, and Cooper Rush. Who
was right next to him? Well, Goff was right in front of him.
Was right in front of him.
CJ Stroud right in front of him. Yeah.
Yep. And then Justin Fields was just in front of him as well. 6 games, smaller sample size. I just would for me, I just want to see a developing offense that can put together a solid game plan inside the 20. I do think we'll have that with Ben Johnson, but I want to see these numbers reversed, because if you go down to the bottom of that list, Jalen Hurts, Daniels, Purdy, Russell Wilson, Joe Burrow, he didn't make the playoffs, but then you have Josh Allen. You look at the bottom of this list, most of these guys are playoff quarterbacks. So this is one thing I'd like to see develop, is a better red zone offense. I do think that they will have that under Ben Johnson. Hopefully everything will come together. But that's one thing I'd like to see. And I love Warren Sharp, by the way.
No, and that's a great point.
Another thing to take notice of, what you just, man, those names you just listed, those are the best running backs in football. I mean, you said the quarterback. You might as well said Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey, James Cook. I mean, the red zone efficiency.
And in Jaden Daniels' case, he's one of the best running quarterbacks in the league.
And Caleb Williams is so far in that list, but you got to wonder where if there's a running back's efficiency rating in the red zone, where the hell the Bears finish on that list, because it's got to be ugly, dude. It's got to be ugly.
Well, and listen, you don't want to take any of the pressure off Caleb in that regard. I think that it is going to be incumbent upon the offensive line to protect them, the run game to be good enough. But Ben Johnson's going to need to design good plays in the red zone, and Caleb's going to need to play on time. Caleb's biggest
development I want to see is finishing drives.
That's huge.
And this plays into it. But, I mean, Caleb's inability to play within the timing of the offense led to a lot of the issues in the red zone for the Bears. If he can play on time, and Ben Johnson, that's his biggest hurdle with Caleb Williams. It was Caleb's biggest knock coming out of college, and it showed last year in his rookie season. So if Ben Johnson can get in his head and fix that, I think those numbers just automatically get better, Sean. I really do.
I agree.
And then they start finishing those drives, Brandon, which is what you're talking about. And Colston Loveland will play a big role in that as well.
I think it'll be Cole Kmet, but
we'll see how it goes. Let's not have that conversation.
I think there's a world where we could see both of them end up with 6 or 7 touchdowns each this season.
Guys, there was a couple funny chats that came across, so I just wanted to shout them out real quick and make sure we give the chat some love. Guys, thanks for being here. Hit that like button if you have not already. But Relentless Mikey says if Braxton is the starter, they're going to have to give Caleb dollar bills because Braxton is always in his lap. I feel like Braxton would get the dollar bills in that scenario, right? Caleb would drop.
Relentless Mikey can bring the heat sometimes, man.
Dante says Trapillo is an upgrade over Larry Borum, I think. Yeah, I fucking hope so.
Yes.
What's up, Dante? I didn't see you in there. What's going on?
5'9", 190. I might be an improvement over Larry Borum.
Larry Borum was a bum. There you go. Trapillo is an upgrade over Braxton Jones. Guys, thanks for being here. Dante, Melon, Romy, Relentless Mikey. Again, hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed if you're not already. Thanks for being here.
Another development, guys, I want to see by the time the preseason starts. Now, what I'm referring to is like you see the progression that was made during training camp, and these guys have already made a step forward, which I expect. But like you've preached for months now, Dustin, the way Ben Johnson's doing this, compete. These guys are going to come out in this preseason and play like this is a regular season game, especially the guys who are fighting for roster spots, but more importantly, fighting for starting roles. But I want to see Austin Booker as like a menace against the first team defense when the preseason rolls around. I want to see this guy get into the quarterback. It doesn't need to be sacks. I want to see rushes, hurries, pressures. I want to see this guy living in the backfield by the time the preseason rolls around. I want to see the impact that what's his name? Grady or
Bill
Jeremy
Johnson?
Garrett. Bill Johnson and Jeremy Garrett have had on this guy. I want to see this guy. I want to see the progression visibly. I want to see it. I want to see it on the field. I don't want like, when he's 3 preseasons by week 8 of the regular season. No, Ben Johnson said this is not a get in shape. That's not what the offseason is. It's fucking come in shape. Like that's what I want to see. I want to see these guys prepared. I want to see the improvements immediately.
I'll take that to the bank with Austin Booker, man. I expect
Austin Booker.
I
will be so stoked if that guy becomes what he could be, but given the talent he has. Because
I've been on the Austin Booker thing throughout that draft process last year, man, and I was stoked when the Bears drafted him. I'm not jumping off. He does. He has the pass rushing ability. He's got the physical abilities, and he seems like a hard worker and a dude who's got the right head on his shoulders. Last year was a project year for him. This year, you've got better coaching in here. You got another NFL offseason under your belt, a full one. I don't see how it doesn't translate for him this year.
Let me do one better with the entire defensive front. And this is, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just on 4starchicagosports.com. We'll either sometime tonight have an article up. It's called Wheels Up in 2025 for Montez Sweat and Gravon Dexter Sr. And one of the things that in my homework writing this article was that Dennis Allen sent these guys to the University of Miami to work with a pass rush specialist by the name of Brandon Jordan, who happens to be one of the top pass rush specialists in the entire league, world, wherever he's worked. And I apologize. I don't have
Everyone keeps saying Dennis Allen sent them there. Javon Dexter organized that whole thing.
I read it was Dennis Allen.
I read Dennis Allen too, man. I read Dennis Allen.
Javon Dexter got all those guys together from what he said in his interview.
I read Dennis Allen selected a handful of players he wanted to work on their pass rush technique.
Regardless of the fact, these guys all went to this camp. They all worked together. And when we get into some of these possible free agent helps, I'm going to give you my guy that I really think the Bears, if they sign him, would help in the development of one Austin Booker and our second-round draft pick, Mr. Turner. So we'll get to that in just a few minutes. But, yeah, that Brandon Jordan thing was really – the thing that I found interesting when I was reading the article is that you had a veteran like Grady Jarrett who willingly went with the team to work on things too, which you don't really see out of a, multiple-time Pro Bowl or 10-year vet. So I think that was kind of awesome.
When you're changing teams, you do need to acclimate to your teammates. So, I mean, obviously, he probably saw that as an opportunity as well.
Yeah.
And he is a good leader, so he understands that I gotta get in the trenches with these guys to get their respect and for them to respect me and for me to respect them.
He comes off to me like a player who has entirely instilled with the mindset that he can still improve, man. No matter how far on the other side of the hill that guy is, there's no quit, man. He's gonna, if he thinks there's something he can find to or improve, he's going to, which is what I love about him, and that's what makes him who he is. I believe that he's declined in his production, but I'm still all for it if he thinks there's things he can do to
You know what
to
though?
strengthen himself.
I think if the Bears actually can find a nice rotation with Billings and Dexter and Turner, and they rotate him in and they bring him in just for being a pass rush specialist and limit his snaps like they weren't doing in Atlanta, you may get a lot better results out of him this year. And I think that may be the plan. We'll have to see. Injuries will probably play a huge role in.
I'm a firm believer, and we see this a lot. And obviously, this is different dynamic, different ball game. But you see this a lot with players who come to Wrigley, man. Sometimes a different setting is all it takes, and sometimes you like, what's left worth fighting for, man? I don't know how much Grady Jarrett felt he was. What was the end road there, man? I mean, what was? I think he was kind of playing his last few years out to retirement because I don't think anyone in Atlanta is thinking that they're winning a championship anytime soon. He might get here, man, and think he's part of something that's going to prove results very quickly, especially given he can make
What a Bears fan.
You know what I mean? He can impact this team. If Grady Jarrett and these guys can bring the pass rush this team's been lacking for the last few seasons, this is an entirely different football team, guys. It is, because it has one of the strongest secondaries in the NFL. If that is accented with a strong pass rush, this defense is surefire top 10 without a doubt. Because between Jalen Johnson and Kyler Gordon and Tyreek Stevenson and Jaquan Brisker and Byard, I mean, that is an all-pro fucking secondary unit there, man. That's one of the best units in the game. So they need some pass rush to improve this defense overall. No doubt about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, it's kind of why I wrote this article about Dexter and Sweat, because I know we've had a lot of, arguments about this guy and he's okay. He's not going to be okay. I personally think, that both of these two guys, the X factor on this defense, I think when you have one-on-ones, which I think Montez Sweat's going to get a lot in this defensive scheme, he's going to use his speed and his power off that edge. And I think Devon Dexter just continues to grow into his role, and he took strides. If you watch his film, one of the things they were talking about him was he was last off the ball. You go through his film from last year, that started to disappear where he wasn't last off the ball. And I understand towards the end of the year, he kind of declined a little bit, but so did everybody else around him. I mean, he was pretty much out there by himself playing with nobody. So
yeah, if he just had one more step, he just needs a little more explosion off the line. He needs to be able to read the count a little better, because if he just had one more step, I'm a firm believer of this. And I've always said this, guys, no matter where my doubts were with Javon Dexter, he is one of the most powerful players in the NFL.
Yeah,
he has some of the best upper body strength in the league. He had the most upper body strength coming out of college or high school. He was the number one recruit at the position over Jalen Carter. The guy's got it. He's just got to be able to get these guys off guard. He's got to be able to get underneath them, and he's got to get off the snap. And that's his.
Javon's going to be the best defensive lineman on the Bears.
I was going to say that's another thing, dude. His pad level improved. Everything that this guy's done.
Yeah, he's not standing up anymore. He fixed that pretty quickly.
Yes.
Matt Eberflus did help him with that.
He's about a year and a half it took him to fix that, guys. It wasn't quickly. But yeah, the new coaching should make an impact. He is improving his game 100%. And I do believe he will be the most impactful defensive lineman on this Bears roster this year. I think he's going to establish himself as the leader of that defensive line by the time this year is over, man. I really do. I think that he's going to be the guy that's causing the havoc in the backfield. And last year he needed to be that guy to open it up for Montez Sweat, and that really didn't happen. So like now you've added Dio on the opposite end. Maybe they sign another one of these guys we're going to talk about in a little bit. You got Grady Jarrett in the middle. You drafted Shamar Turner. You've added more talent to this defensive line to hopefully take attention away from Montez Sweat. I think Javon Dexter is going to be the main guy that does that, but Montez Sweat will benefit from that because he was double teamed a lot. As much as I knock him, this guy was one of the most double teamed defensive ends in the NFL.
And the Bears, I think the Bears are just all around stronger in the interior of that defensive line than they are on the outside. That's no disrespect to Montez Sweat, Sean. I just think they're a much better unit inside. But I do think this. I think when Andrew Billings was injured, when Andrew Billings was on the field, Javon Dexter's progression was moving quickly. I mean, he was developing very quickly until a monster. I don't know if you guys had like 3 weeks in a row with a sack with Billings beside him, and Billings had a really high pass rush. Right,
start of the season.
As soon as Billings went out, Dexter kind of plateaued a little bit because there was just nothing next to him, man. And I mean, when you have, no offense to the guy, man, but when it's you and Chris Williams, who do you think that offensive line's focused on? So if
100%.
Javon can find himself in more man-on-man situations, like I said, that guy's upper body strength, man, is comparative to very little. There's not many guys in the NFL that have the ability that Javon Dexter has to just bull rush through somebody, but he needs to be able to take on blocks one-on-one. And I agree with Dustin. Javon Dexter, and I again by preseason, man, this is something I expected. This guy could very well be a star in the fucking making, man. There's no doubt about it. He's just got to get off the snap, and he needs the players around him to to take some of that attention away from him, man. And I think Javon Dexter is a guy who can help Montez Sweat when you would think it's supposed to be the other way around, given their tenure in the NFL.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Montez Sweat, if he's putting pressure up the middle, that will open things up. I mean, sorry, great Javon Dexter will open things up for Montez Sweat if he's putting that pressure up the middle. That's what we needed to see last year, and it just never came to fruition.
And I'll tell you this, guys, don't underestimate the strength and power of Montez Sweat. If he is being lined up in one-on-one situations, he's going to win a lot of those. I guarantee it. I bet it.
You know what I would like to see a lot more with Montez Sweat, Sean, and you see it across the league with a lot of defensive coordinators and their star defensive pass rusher moving around more along the line, getting them a mismatch, getting them across from the weaker of the two tackles, and constantly moving them around just to find out if maybe there's a matchup that he can beat a little better. I mean, he stays in the same spot way more than a lot of these other guys, man, and I think that would help out Montez Sweat a lot. Hopefully, Dennis Allen is looking at that.
And another thing that I thought Matt Eberflus did very poorly was when they ran those stunts with Javon Dexter, which they did a lot. He lined up over the tackle. He played over the tackle like 300 something snaps, but you always left Montez Sweat on the ends. When they ran those stunts, he pushed Montez Sweat inside, and that's just no place for Montez Sweat. I'm sorry.
Well, that's what a stunt is, man.
He's not.
You can't. Yeah, but that's what a stunt is. You can't do a stunt without switching this position.
I know, Dustin, but you just said you can move Sweat to the other side where the stunt won't push him in.
Yeah, very good. Yes, for sure.
I don't think Montez Sweat is that guy. I don't think he's a guy who should be rushing from the inside, man. He's just not that dude. He's not. I'm sorry. He's not that guy. He's not Myles Garrett. You're not going to get that out of him against guards and center.
It looks like the whole principle for the Bears defensively this offseason in terms of adding Dennis Allen and the players that they've added is versatility, right? And we continue 100%. To talk about it. Guys that can be multiple in different positions, and I think this defensive line is going to be very versatile in that way, and I think that will play in the favor of a lot of these players and this Bears pass rush, Brandon. I think this Bears pass rush will be better because of it. You know, you can move a guy like Dale inside on a NASCAR package and put Austin Booker next to him, you know, and do some different things.
Yeah. And Shamar played outside for 2 years.
You can move Shamar to the outside, or you can have Shamar and Dale on the inside, and then you put, you know, Montez and Austin Booker out there. Or again, if they sign one of these guys that we're going to talk about, like that opens things up and creates different looks for the offense and could create a mismatch and a free run at the quarterback.
Yeah. It would be interesting if they did run a NASCAR package, throw, what is that, 4 defensive ends on the field at the same time? Would that be Sweat, Turner, Deo, and who would Dexter fill that role?
I'm Shamar Turner, or again, if they sign a Zadarius Smith or a Matthew Judon, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can do different things with the amount of versatility you have along this defensive line right now, and I think that that's appealing when you consider the fact that you have a new, much more aggressive and creative defensive coordinator than Eberflus. As good of a defensive coordinator as Eberflus was, which was just okay in my mind. I never thought he was as great as everybody else, but like his defense was very predictable, and it was just what it was. And it was the cover 2, bend, don't break. We're not going to send a lot of pressure, and we're going to try to get the rush with the 4-man. I mean, very predictable versus Dennis Allen, which I think is going to be very different. And that's going to play into the favor of all these Bears defenders, all these individual players in my mind.
I agree. And I think when you talk about versatility, you don't forget about number 6, because it'd probably be I think he's going to have a career high in sacks, which isn't going to be very hard to do because I think he's only got 2, I think, as a career high. I think you can see that number creep up to 5 or 6 this year. I expect a big season out of Kyler Gordon, man. I really, really do.
Well, Mellon keeps talking about the Bears not having a ball hawk. I mean, I think Kyler Gordon could be that if he's used in the right role. I know Jalen Johnson is not a guy who gets a lot of interceptions, and I know that Tyreek Stevenson can be that if utilized properly. I think this man defense is going to play in his favor as well. Tyreek Stevenson is a guy who can get his hands on the damn ball. So I mean. A traditional ball, like a ball hawk like Ed Reed, no, they don't have that. That is 100% for certain. But you can get some turnovers out of these defensive backs, in my mind. I think Kyler Gordon and Tyreek could both, up their interception totals this season.
And it's also hard for Jalen Johnson to accumulate interceptions when
no one's throwing the ball at him. Yeah.
And another thing, Kyle,
sure. He's not that kind of guy. Yeah.
When we did the Dennis Allen episode, guys, last week, me and Kyle, another thing he pointed out is Dennis Allen has the highest rate of dropping linemen into coverage to disguise pass rush and where it's coming from.
Yeah.
And that's where the versatility is really going to help. A guy like Montez Sweat, a guy like Austin Booker, a guy like Shamar Turner might be able to keep up for a little bit with a guy with a player like a tight end. If you want to blitz somebody, if you want to bring somebody from the outside that the quarterback's just not expecting to rush, man, that's just something you don't see a lot. Matt Eberflus didn't really do it. We didn't see defensive linemen drop into coverage, man. That's a very unique thing. I don't know how an offense prepares for something like that.
Honestly, I hate that. I hate seeing.
It's interesting.
That.
It says though it's one of the things
you get torched.
It says it's one of the things that makes Dennis Allen the most deceptive defensive coordinator in the NFL.
Yeah, I don't want to see Montez Sweat dropping back in coverage, man. I don't really want to see
it happened on 23% of plays. That's a pretty big fucking number, man.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of that. I mean, I never like seeing that.
I thought Austin Booker played pretty well in coverage, man.
And I'll say this to Melon Smasher really quick. If you're talking about the guy getting fired as a head coach, Dennis Allen is not a head coach. But if you're looking at a defensive coordinator and you go look at what he did in New Orleans, the defense was crap when he got there. He built that defense with no superstars. He turned players into superstars and consistently kept that defense in the top 10. So you know what? Some people are just not head coaches. Some people are better at one thing than the other. He's a better defensive coordinator. Maybe he's learned that. So
he should have never been made a head coach of the Saints.
I'm going to get torched by Bryce Young. That's bullshit. Give me a break.
Yeah, I don't think Dennis Allen was a head. I think he showed that when he got his first opportunity with.
I don't think you could name.
Was it the Raiders or the Broncos? But I mean, he had his first coaching stint. I wouldn't have hired him as a head coach after that. I said that at the time. But yeah, some guys are just coordinators, and when you can just focus on that, the results tend to be different. That's for sure.
I don't think you could name 10 better defensive coordinators than Dennis Allen. I think he's a top 10 defensive.
Well, he was ranked 13th on a list that actually just came out.
I saw that list today.
Yeah. That came,
I mean,
came out
if you took, say, Demario Douglas, Cameron Jordan, and Marshawn Lattimore, 3 players off that defense that he had consistently there for years, can you name anybody else on that defense?
Tyrann Mathieu was there with him
for a couple of years.
Yeah, and Tyrann Mathieu was a fucking stud.
So that's 4 of 7 starters.
Marcus Davenport was there as their edge rusher, if I recall.
Didn't Jonathan Vilma end his career there?
That was well before Dennis Allen.
Yeah, that was Jonathan Vilma was old.
Lattimore superstar, Cam Jordan superstar. Don't have anyone better than them on this team. I mean, Lattimore, Jalen Johnson. I might throw Jalen Johnson up against. Lattimore's still playing in the league, and he got torched. He got torched a lot last year when he went to Washington. He did. So I mean, I would take Jalen Johnson over Lattimore. Yeah, I would. Lattimore at his peak was really a damn good cornerback, though. I think it seems like he peaked early. Maybe he still got it in him, but Jalen Johnson now over Lattimore, 100%.
He pisses Mike Evans off a lot.
Yeah, he does. But those days are gone.
So the chat continues to say Dennis Allen can't solve the tight end position. Basically, is what it comes down to for these guys. Relentless Mikey says if DA can solve for tight ends, he'll be good. What do you guys think of that? The stats are there. I mean, Melon Smasher put it up here, right? 925 receiving yards to tight ends. In the 9 weeks, Dennis Allen was calling defense. So that is a concern, right?
In the 9 weeks, he was calling defense calls for them for 5 years, and he was a top 10 coach.
Well, again, it seems to be there's a legitimacy to that. I'm just curious
if you're talking about him being
taking over defensive coordinator at the head coaching position.
He failed. He failed.
Yeah.
But
he plays that deep quarter zone. I mean, he plays the safeties real far off. He doesn't like to give up the big. His defense was responsible for the fewest big plays over his tenure. So I mean, you gotta sacrifice a little
to get another. Yeah.
I'll tell you better figure out tight ends because the NFC North is not short.
That's kind of what I was getting at. TJ Hawkinson, Laporta, Kraft, Musgrave. I mean, there's some good tight ends in the NFC.
It depends on who you're putting in and putting up. Whether who's covering.
What's up, Erica?
I don't know.
Can Ruben
who is covering?
Can Ruben Hippolyte help with that problem?
He very well could.
He's been listed as the surprise guy from the Bears on multiple lists this week, Ruben Hippolyte. But again, a lot of the stuff coming out when these guys haven't even put pads on. And Sean, you made that point. I've made that point multiple times over the last few weeks.
Erica?
Like, the OTA stuff gets a little mind-numbing because, it's not really it's football in principle, but it's not really football because you're not hitting. You don't have the pads on. So, I want to see what Ruben Hippolyte does when that starts happening, when the rubber hits the road. I hope so, I guess I could say. It seems like a huge reach, but it seems like Dennis Allen has a plan for this guy. So maybe he is that guy that can pick up that tight end in coverage. And maybe Dennis Allen was thinking that when he drafted him, because we've been wondering, why did he draft this fucking guy? Why did he want him? Maybe that was a reason
Dennis
why.
Allen intends on doing more of that with Kyler Gordon because Kyler Gordon's very capable of it.
Well, here, and if you're giving up yards to the tight end and you're not doing anything else, because I'm looking over what he did as his tenure as the New Orleans Saints. He was top 10 in points allowed, yards allowed. He was the number one opponent in red zone touchdown percentage as a coordinator. Look, if you're doing all these things and you're giving up yards to the tight end, I could really give a shit if you're not giving up yards to Justin Jefferson and Amon-Ra St. Brown. You want to give him give 100-yard?
Yeah, let Hawkinson go off. That's fine.
Go ahead. Go right ahead.
Ideally, you can shut everybody down, but it's the NFL, and these offenses are really good, man. You got to kind of pick a poison. You got to say, you're going to beat me with this, but I'm not going to give up this. As Brandon was saying, Bill Belichick was a master at that.
Yeah.
It lets you think you're getting off and you're getting yours, but you look up and the score, you're down because you played into his hand. So, that could be what it ends up being with Dennis Allen, and you got to live with it if the big plays are not happening, I think. Relentless Mikey says no. We play KC in preseason week 3. They'll play starters at least the first half. Is that a good litmus test? Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, I think the Bears will approach it that way. Ben Johnson will be looking at that as a big test for this team, I think.
And hopefully the Chiefs are playing their starters. That would be great, just to get an even playing field there. So across,
guys, there was one more development preseason that I wanted to throw out. This is the main one.
I was hoping somebody. I was like, am I the only one that?
No, I mean we've talked about multiple.
I gave you one.
No, your offensive line, Sean. I was going to say along those lines, the cohesiveness of that unit.
Well, Sean's was Caleb Williams' completion percentage in the red zone.
Touchdown offense. Red zone offense. Basically.
Yeah, I thought that was bad completion percentage is what that stat was that you brought up in the red zone. So I mean, it was to scoring. Yes,
bad. Worst completion percentage due to inaccurate passing.
So in the red zone. Yep,
become a better passer within the red zone, and I mean, I think we all do, don't we?
And I think that my development that I want to see will lend itself to Caleb improving in that area, Sean, because what I want to see early on in this preseason, and everybody can get mad at me, and Sean, you'll bring up Cole Kmet. I want to see Colston Loveland taking over the number one snaps at the tight end position from Cole Kmet. And not a knock on Cole Kmet, but I just believe Colston Loveland can do things in the red zone that Cole Kmet is not going to be able to do in terms of giving Caleb a better target, giving Caleb a guy that can go get the ball and a better route runner that can get open. So, I mean, like, I personally believe that, and I've said this over and over again, I'll keep saying it, Colston Loveland is going to be Caleb's number one red zone target by the time this season's over. I think that will be established, and I want to see it happening early in this. I want to see it happening early in this preseason because I think that'll do exactly what you want, Sean. That's going to help Caleb Williams get that completion percentage up on passes in the red zone, because it's a lot easier to throw an accurate throw to a Colston Loveland in my mind than it is a Cole Kmet, because Colston Loveland can make even a bad throw look like a good one, whereas Cole Kmet cannot. You got to put it right in Cole Kmet's breadbasket. And that's just the way that is. So Colston Loveland taking over number one snaps at the tight end spot is what I want to see, guys.
Now that you say that, Dustin, I'm trying to think, who was the last Bears player that could run a corner fade?
Jimmy Graham?
Yeah, probably.
At his age, though, he didn't even.
He did it. He did it. He caught like 6 touchdowns, didn't he?
But did he like that way? Like the just lob it up?
Allen Robinson was.
Allen Robinson did. Yeah, it was probably.
People forget how good Allen Robinson was on the Bears, man. He was really good here.
Well, and Alshon Jeffrey and Brandon Marshall were both really good at it. I mean, they had two really good receivers with the corner fade. You know what I'm talking about? That you call hike and you just lob the ball before the guy even turns around, and you just expect him to get over the top of somebody else.
And Colston can certainly excel in that role more so than a Cole Kmet in my mind. And again,
not
a knock on Cole Kmet. It's just the skill set and the size and those things.
Jimmy Graham had eight touchdowns with the Bears.
Yeah, I thought it was 6 or 8. He did that multiple times in Chicago. Allen Robinson was another guy. Those are the two that jump in my head.
That's a huge part of a tool to have in your arsenal, man. You got to have that corner fade.
Like, because Caleb really
could not hits it like 50% of the tries.
I can't remember Caleb really even throwing those. Just that timing, just throw it up and expect the guy to be there for it. I mean,
I
think Colston Loveland can make himself that guy.
I think Roman Dunze can turn into that guy as well, man.
Hell yeah, he can. He can. I agree with you 100%. Yeah. Phil asked, is Colston Loveland medically cleared for training camp? Not as of yet that I'm aware of, but from all accounts, he's supposed to be ready for the start of training camp. Correct? That's all I keep hearing.
If he's not,
he's ahead of schedule, as the last one was reported. He's ahead of his recovery schedule slightly, not like anything like he's incredibly miraculously healed. He's a little bit ahead of his timeline because the Bears did have a timeline,
that timeline always put him there to start the training camp. So, I mean, we should expect to see him at training camp, and I expect him to get involved in this offense early and pick it up quick, to be honest. Because the thing with tight ends that everybody says, guys, is that you got to be involved in the run blocking game and you got to be involved in the passing game as well. It's more to take in. But if I was Ben Johnson, I would not really try to involve Colston Loveland too much in the run blocking to start. I would get him going in his routes and getting him downfield and let Cole Kmet worry about the run blocking in my 12-man personnel. That's what I would do, because I think you can play to that strength early on without him having to work his brain too much to get involved in the offense. And Jed says Marshall and Jeffrey were peak. Yeah, they asked the most. Brandon asked the most recent. Those were the two that popped in my head. But yeah, obviously Marshall and Jeffrey could do that very well.
Jeffrey was
both of them. Yeah, they were both go up and get it, Chicago. That was a good luxury to have.
Even though he hated Chicago, and was very open about that once he got out of here, and didn't want to resign here either. So Alshon Jeffrey can kiss my ass. Though he was pretty good.
He was really damn good.
Yeah, I loved Alshon. We got any more of these preseason
things? What, here,
I'll
say, I loved them until his comments, not wanting to resign here, not wanting to be on the Bears, and saying he didn't like it here in Chicago. You don't like my city, you don't like my team, go fuck yourself.
Okay, man, there's a human aspect to playing for a team. That's your job. Obviously, people have problems with their jobs. You know, that's normal. It has nothing to do with your city.
I thought Sean kind of said it, but I by the time the preseason begins, I would like to see some cohesiveness. Even if that left tackle position is, I want to see a foot ahead in that race, man. I want to see some cohesiveness through the 3 weeks of preseason.
You want the starters to be the same. You want the starters to be the same.
I want Caleb to know who's in front of him. 100%. I think the Bears should be able to dictate that during their training camp. I really think they should.
To Darnell Wright being here and Colston Loveland, Joe Tooney, and Drew Dahlman. I mean, and I don't want to call Darnell Wright a veteran because he's only 23 years old.
Oh, he is. He's
going
got
into
that
his
savvy.
Yeah, I mean, these guys, they have to come together. They're veterans. They know their jobs. They know what to do. Obviously, the big question is still what's going to happen on that left side, which we'll start getting some answers in about 17 days from now when the Bears hit training camp up in Halas Hall. But until then, we can just speculate. I personally do hope that it's Trapilo. Just looking at him, he looks to be a little bit more athletic because Braxton Jones to me was always a little bit slow off the snap too. He seems to be a little bit more.
And he just can't anchor.
So
Trapilo can anchor, man.
Listen, I hope it's the
Chad,
best.
I love you, buddy.
Yeah, Jed's the man. I hope it's the best guy. I hope it's the best. I hope it's the guy who earns it. And I believe that's what it will be. I just love the fact that we have options. If it's Karan Amagaji, good on you, brother. If you earn it, Ben Johnson says you establish yourself as the best left tackle on this football team because you were the best pass blocker on this football team at that position, then good for you. You got the spot.
Yeah,
that's that. I have confidence that will happen. Now, whether or not that best man for the job is a good enough man for the job, that becomes a whole nother story, guys. That to me. But like you said, Sean, that's a very good point. There's already the continuity should be quick with those four spots. You got Betts,
and in regards to Darnell
along that offensive line.
Regards to Darnell,
really
right, Sean?
Really quick, Brandon. It gives you a little bit more. It makes you feel a little bit better, a little bit more security, knowing that Joe Tooney is going to be next to that left tackle as well.
100%.
In regards to Darnell, right? Like, I consider him a veteran player because of his league experience. Because he was even at as young as he was, man, he was the anchor on that line. When you're the guy
he's been in the league for 6 years.
I know. When you're the guy, when you're the guy who's in charge of that shit, when it's like all falls on you, because it's like everybody looks to Darnell Wright. Even when this offensive line was abysmal, it's like, well, you got that anchor man over there on the right. It should be better because that guy's holding it down, and that I think has made him a more veteran player in his own mind for sure. Because
speaking of,
he was the boss of that line.
Yeah. Speaking of holding it down, Bears fan for life, Phil, Jedediah, Melon Smasher, Ron Winarski, Erica, who else we got? Dante, Relentless Mikey's been killing it. You guys are holding it down in the chat. We appreciate you greatly for being here.
It's our favorite.
Thanks so much.
As always.
Yeah, and I mean, if you guys got anything, obviously keep throwing stuff out there. We'll talk about it. We're just kind of, we're bullshitting through this show, just trying to figure it out. Not a lot to talk about. So if you got something you want to talk about, throw it out there. We'll get into it. There it is, right there. What do you read that one?
Yeah, I mean, do you guys think? It says, what do you guys think? Bajan saying he wants to compete for QB1. Do you think Ben will give him that chance? I mean,
no, but I think. Listen, hold on. I think that's the attitude Bajan needs to have.
No, 100%.
I think if Bajan came out and said, "I'm okay with being number 2," like I don't want to hear that from a guy. But I think Bajan knows he's not QB1 and doesn't stand a chance.
I've never asked you guys this, and I think it was 2017, 2018, something like that. I can't remember.
I think Ben will give him that chance.
What do you think between Bajan and Keenum as the number 2? Now I know that
Keenum. Keenum.
Bajan has his limitations. I do kind of, have a little bit of love.
Too much about it. I was too busy grinding my absolute face off in the offseason.
I like the kid, man. I still love this story. The guy is 2-2 as a starter. There's no doubt in my mind that if he moves on from the Bears, the story's not over for him. I just think Case Keenum is. Hey, Lonnie. Hey, kiddo.
Okay, baby. Go.
I think that Case Keenum is more prepared to run a bench. Listen, Case Keenum is not. It's not jumping off the pages. When I read the headline, it's not something I'm like texting everybody.
Erica, you're hilarious.
I'll say this: if Case Keenum ends up being the quarterback of this team, what we saw with like Sam Darnold and Kevin O'Connell, I think Case Keenum can run the system that Ben Johnson will more so than Tyson.
I'm taking Tyson Bajan over Case Keenum, guys.
I'm not.
You
guys know how I feel about Tyson Bajan.
Listen, I'm not particularly thrilled about either one of them. I wish there was a better backup quarterback in Chicago, to be quite honest. But if I'm choosing between Bajan and Case Keenum, I'm choosing
taking
Bajan
the guy that
because
can throw over 50 yards.
Well, it's just more about the athletic ability, and if he can get the ball out quick on shorter passes,
which we know he can't do.
Yeah, it can work. In Ben
Hold on. Relentless Mikey says Bajan Soft asked for a trade by what that was said in that interview.
Listen,
I think it was Bajan voicing himself that he wants to compete for a number one job somewhere. I think there's no doubt that that's the underlying statement there. I don't know that if Bajan ended up getting paid by the Bears to sit on the bench for the rest of his days, he'd be too upset about it. But I'm sure he wants to play some football, man. Listen, sorry.
It's great that that's what he wants, but
you can't make it in this league when you can't throw a fucking Hail Mary pass. I've never, guys. When was the last time you saw a quarterback removed from a game so that another guy could throw a Hail Mary pass? I don't know if I've ever seen that.
There's been guys that cannot throw the deep ball, but have been backup quarterbacks, and there are backup quarterbacks because they can't throw the deep ball, but they can manage within a system well enough if the system's good enough. They're game managers, and they'll dink and dunk it down the field, and hopefully that's enough to get you by for 2 weeks. That's really what you're hoping for out of your backup quarterback spot at the end of the day.
Yeah,
you are not looking to have starters at your backup quarterback position, because then they say shit like, I want to be a starter, and you're not going to make them a starter. So if you can get anything for Bajan, do it. If you can trade Bajan for anything, might as well do it.
I would do it.
If I had to bet.
And I like Tyson Bajan. I do. I think
Bajan throws more turnovers than Case Keenum if he steps into a starting role.
I would take the athleticism, and this is like the first time I've agreed with Melon Smasher, but yes, I would take Bajan and the athleticism, his ability to
and the interceptions, because that's coming run it. That kid throws interceptions. Dude.
Listen, if you're gonna give Caleb the benefit of the doubt with Ben Johnson, then you got to give Bajan the benefit of the doubt with Ben Johnson.
That's not that. Yeah. That's
you do because that game. No. The game plan and the scheme will put him in a better position to execute the game plan.
But why wouldn't a veteran quarterback who's gone to the playoffs be a better choice than the guy who can't throw a Hail Mary pass?
Because he hasn't gone to the playoffs since 8 years. That was 8 years ago, dude.
I think it was 2017, 2018, some shit like that.
Get out of here.
Tyson Bajan played 4 games and threw 7 interceptions. I'm good on that, man. I don't need to see any more of that. I don't think the Bears want to. I think Case Keenum's going to be the number 2 quarterback.
What it boils down to is exactly what I just said, that the backup quarterback position is not very good in Chicago yet again. That's the reality.
They went out and they targeted Case Keenum. Like, they brought him in for a reason. This was
because he's a savvy veteran that can help coach on the sideline. Yeah, I mean, in a pinch can execute the offense for sure.
And listen, I'm not, and this is not to take away anything from Tyson Bajan, but again, I said this last year to you guys. I feel like it was disputed. Tyson Bajan did not provide anything to you. Listen. When you draft a young rookie quarterback,
the same thing, Brandon.
You should fucking have that guy on your roster. Case Keenum should have been here
before the season started.
Bajan wasn't a guy who could give advice to Caleb Williams, and he wasn't a guy. There was just nothing. He served no purpose whatsoever.
That's why Keenum's here now, right? And here, I'll be honest with you. If Tyson Bajan wants to have a great life, just give Chase Daniel a call. I think he made $40-45 million.
Roll around the league as a backup, getting that backup quarterback money. Don't play football. Don't hurt yourself. Fuck yeah, just do that. But Bajan don't have that kind of attitude. But the problem for Bajan is Bajan doesn't have that kind of skill level.
I don't know about that, man.
Purdy's got a monster deep ball.
Yeah, he's got a pretty good deep ball.
That's why he got drafted.
That's the overstatement of the day, Melon Smasher, and you've had some doozies out here already, but that's the overstatement.
That's what got Purdy drafted, man. Is that arm, dude?
This was the best comment regarding
incredibly strong arm.
This is where I'm at. Bajan is what he is. He's an average to above average backup. Love his attitude, but that's the reality. He's not going to be a starter in the NFL. He's not going to be. I will never. Bajan is not good enough to be a starter in the NFL. He's barely good enough to be a backup in my mind, but he's the best option on this team right now. And I think that's a problem. I don't think Case Keenum solves your issues if Caleb Williams goes down. I really don't.
But but Dustin,
too much about it. I was too busy grinding my absolute face off in the offseason.
Come on, man. You gotta
Yeah.
give him the props.
I'm
He's
glad
grinding his
I'm
face
glad
off.
he grinded that hair off too.
Listen,
glad
I've said this before on the show, and I think it's everybody's sentiment, but like
exactly, Rob.
your dad,
Exactly. That's what I'm saying,
your
Rob.
dad
Exactly.
has like historically the
Oh,
strongest,
100%.
the strongest.
Yes.
Your
Yes.
dad has the strongest arm of like all human beings, and you can't throw a 52-yard pass.
What's up, Flex? How
Where
you
the
doing, brother?
where the
What's up,
fuck was
Flex?
that apple tree, dude? On a cliff? Like, how's your dad winning 17 arm wrestling competitions consecutively, and you can't throw a ball over 50 yards, bro? That
Oh,
doesn't
but
make sense, man.
I don't know. I mean, muscle-bound guys aren't
Here,
throwing
but I also
footballs
don't think
70
you need
yards
to throw
down
the
the
ball
field
50
either.
yards
It's
to
not the
win,
same
man.
type
I
of
mean,
strength, But
I mean, here, and
I
I
get
know
what you're saying.
he
It's what I'm
did,
saying.
but Tom Brady didn't throw the ball 50 yards down the field that often, dude. He dinked and dunked offense or defense
Until Randy Moss got there.
Well, for that year or two, yes, but
Yeah.
I mean, he
It
used
got-
Welker,
it was all-
Amendola, and he moved
Yeah.
the chains.
Well,
So,
and that's what I think Colston Loveland
and I'm
can
not
be
calling
for
him
Caleb
Tom
Williams,
Brady.
guys. A guy that can open up that deep ball to Caleb, because if you put it in his vicinity, he can get his hands on it. I mean, that you need guys like that. And yeah, I mean, I think the Bears have good weapons and they're gonna have a good offense, but I think if the backup quarterback plays for an extended period of time, as Ross said, it's all irrelevant because the backup quarterback situation here is not good. I am not comfortable with either of these guys starting significant amounts
But
of time.
at least
I am not.
At least the guy with the mic, at least the coach off the field has been like
I'd rather him stay off the field. I'll take Bajan. At least he can run the ball.
Can mentor a younger guy. That's something that one of them can provide. So if either one of them is good for anything, it's Keenum, because I agree with you, Dustin. It's ass. The situation is ass.
Yeah. So I don't know what else to say besides that.
I'm kind of not over Austin Reed either, to be honest. I mean,
I like him. Yeah, I do.
Would you rather have Austin Reed or Tyson Bagent?
I'm good with trading. If you can get a 5th round pick for Bagent, do it in a heartbeat. Do it immediately, and then just move Austin Reed on up the depth chart. Do that, and then just see what you have there, because you have the backup that's the veteran already. So, what purpose is Bagent serving? I think if Bagent is here, that tells you that he's going to be the guy that gets the reps if Caleb Williams goes down. I think that's what that tells you.
And I hate to say, Austin Reed, the guy only played 2 years, I think, in college, and he threw for like 9,000 yards and freaking like 75 touchdowns.
Yeah, he's one of those guys for sure. He's one of those guys. I like his potential upside, but who knows? That might be all that it is. Upside.
But again, like has already been said, if anybody but Caleb Williams is under center for the Chicago Bears, dude, stick a fork in him because we're done.
Mikey says, boys and girls, how good is our team that we're talking about the backup QB? LOL. Yeah, these are first world problems. Problems. So that's a good thing. We got the most improved unit in the NFL, and it's our offensive line, which is the worst part about our team last year. So like we should be feeling pretty good, I think, as Bears fans. Razzle Dazzle jumping in. What up, brother? See, it's too many questions for y'all to be drinking.
What's going on, man?
Can always count on Razzle to rain on our parade.
You know what? The Bears are probably going to have Keenum be the backup, and then it's going to be Reed or Bajan's job to win that emergency quarterback role. And that's where they focused. They went out. They got Keenum. He's going to probably I'm going to say without an injury, 99.9% going to be the backup. And someone's going to have to be the emergency QB, and that's going to be for those two guys. It's preseason's 4 boys.
Brock Purdy, by the way, I just want to say this, Dante. I gotta say it. Brock Purdy's furthest pass was 66 yards in the air.
Brock Purdy led the NFL in yards per completion, guys.
Yeah, dude. Brock
I'm just saying his strength of his arm is he's pretty well touted for being. He's got one hell.
Pretty ball, man.
2 years ago, led the league in yards per completion.
Yards in the air.
He was top 3. He was up there, man. He was one of the best in yards per completion in the NFL. Now, the Niners' offense has a lot of run after the catch, so that's a bit inflated. But he can
throw the ball deep. Yeah, he can throw the ball deep. 66 yards is up
Dante
there.
Dante don't want to hear it. Dante don't want to hear it. We can move on. Let's move on. What are our other topics, guys? What else are we talking about today?
We got some free agent help, man. What's his name? What the hell's his name? Albert Breer said the Bears were linked to Judon,
Breer's pretty solid, pretty credible.
Judon and Zadarius Smith.
I'm with
and
you,
the
Flex.
guy,
I'm with you.
I'll just check right off the list because I mean, you guys can talk about him. I don't want anything. To do
Jamal
with
Williams.
Jamal Williams.
Yeah.
I'm good.
I don't think that helps this running back room. I don't think it helps that running back room at all. I don't think it makes any difference.
I think it's a
at all.
handicap.
Yeah, right.
It just got worse.
Listen, just a few years ago he had 17 touchdowns in that Lions offense with Ben.
Yeah, but
Johnson.
that was like
I thought it was like
3-4 years ago.
22 touchdowns, bro.
Yeah, he had a lot.
I think he broke the record.
No, I don't know. Broke what record?
I'll look him up.
Touchdowns in a season.
He didn't break the touchdown record in a season.
Where's producer Bruce?
For a running back?
Yeah, no, he did not do that.
He had, I'll tell you.
Anyways,
right now,
I don't
17 rushing touchdowns.
exactly the number I said. Was
Yes.
that exactly the number I said? Yes.
He had receiving.
That was off the top of my head, guys.
0. That was 17. So it's 17 in 2022.
That was the first year Ben Johnson was the offensive coordinator in Detroit. Yeah. He had a big season for him. But I mean, that was again now 4 years ago at this point.
I was going to say he was 26 years old.
Yeah. No, I don't think he helps this running back.
He's not going to be signed, man.
No, I hope he's not signed here. That's what.
Let's talk about these edge rushers.
Yes, please.
And Roz says he broke Barry Sanders' team record. There you go, Brandon. And it was 17. But I mean, Judon, Zadarius Smith, what are you guys thinking in terms of if either one can make an impact on this defense?
I'll give you 3 reasons why.
Oh, yeah, it was 8th most touchdowns, way down there.
Yeah.
But Damian Tomlinson had 28 touchdowns.
Yeah, you got multiple guys. Priest Holmes had a huge season.
Sean Alexander's actually second.
Sean Alexander had a huge season with that. Yep.
No
Go ahead, Sean.
For me, it's Zadarius Smith, man. I think he'd be a strong fit in Dennis Allen's scheme, man. I really do. 3 reasons: proven production. This guy, he's disruptive edge, track record of getting to the quarterback. What did he have last year? Last year with Detroit, he played 8 games. He had 5 sacks in those 8 games. A veteran presence on the other side of Montez Sweat. Immediately, I think this elevates Montez Sweat, a guy like Zadarius Smith on the other side. 2 more reasons. I think he's versatile. He can rush standing up or put his hand in the dirt, which we just talked about. They're looking for guys that can do this. He's played both in a 3-4 and 4-3 fronts. He plays with a mix of contain, rush, gap control, all those other things. But one of the great things is the mentorship. This is the guy I was talking about for Shamar Turner. He could put him under his wing on the other side of the ball. And it also take a huge snap load away from.
You mean Austin Booker? Austin Booker? Talking about Austin Booker?
And Booker, both.
Well,
both.
Shamar Turner is going to play defensive tackle.
I think he's going to. I think he's going to end up. I'm kind of with Brandon. The more I'm looking at his profile, I think this guy's going to slowly turn into one of those versatile players that plays inside and out for the Chicago Bears. He did it in college.
His first season, he's going to play defensive tackle.
For his first season, 100%. I do
100%.
agree.
Yeah.
Don't be surprised, though, if injury forces a guy like Turner to the edge, and then you have a veteran presence like Zadarius Smith there to help this guy and really.
Why is Dio here? Isn't Dio here to do all those things you just said Zadarius Smith would do?
I think Dio's still learning. I mean, what is he? 25 years old?
Yeah, he's 25. He's been in the league
He's
a few years now.
He's still a young player, but I think we've talked about
you want a rotation of 4 guys. So
exactly.
You need to add to the rotation, no doubt. But when you're talking about being on the other side of Montez Sweat and taking that pressure off,
Daniel
you just
Hardy,
signed this guy for $48 million.
But is Daniel Hardy
that's why he's here for that?
The question is Austin Booker's going to be involved? Is Daniel Hardy the guy? That's what you're going to, and they're moving him to linebacker, so it doesn't feel like it. Listen, a name I'm gonna throw out. Listen, Agbo Okoronkwo is the guy that the Browns just cut in order to sign a kicker. And listen, you're talking about like a $1 million max for this guy. That's so they're saying right now it's about $5.3 million for Zadarius Smith if you want to sign him. $1 million for a guy who's started like 6 seasons of his career. it feels very Yannick Ngakoue-ish, but
And
I don't know how
Ngakoue was
much.
more of a high level name than this guy that you're pitching out there, Brandon. So it is a little different. But I'm in agreement with you. That's kind of what the point I was making. Like, you just spent big money in free agency at the defensive end position. Are you going to go and Zadarius Smith? If I was choosing between Judon and Zadarius Smith, I think I'd go with Zadarius Smith as well. We'll get into Judon here in a second.
For sure.
But Relentless Mikey says he likes Judon more, higher sack upside and potential there. So he likes Judon a little more. So I could see either side of it. But I just think, like, you just went and spent this big money at the defensive end spot. I do think that the depth needs to be added to, but I don't know if it needs to be a big name signing like that at a big cap number, Brandon. I kind of like what you're suggesting there, finding somebody that can just be a part of that rotation that comes a lot cheaper and has maybe some upside. That's what I would be looking at.
And he's a quality football player outside of just rushing the pass, man. Listen, Matthew Judon and Zadarius Smith might be two of the most comparable players in the NFL. They are pass rush specialists. They don't serve much of a purpose outside of that. They're aging players who can't be on the field the entire game. I don't see that. I guess Zadarius Smith has had a little more success in the pass rush as of late.
He's more of a pure pass rusher. Yeah. Eric is saying he had 9.5 sacks last season. That was between Cleveland and Detroit, not just with.
And I think Judon had 5.5. Neither one. Like I said, man, I'd probably go with the kid from the Browns, man. I probably just to get if you want that fourth guy, if you don't feel Daniel Hardy or whoever's on your roster, Dominic Robinson is up to the task. Go sign that $1 million player till you can worry about this next offseason, man.
Listen, if I'm choosing between these two, if it's down to Judon or Zadarius Smith, I'm gonna go with Zadarius Smith, and I could see him on a 1-year rental deal, and that could make. I think that's a move that a team that thinks they're a player away from having a championship caliber defense makes, though. Is that what why the Bears are making this move? You know what I'm saying?
I kind of feel like Zadarius Smith wants to go play for a team that's going to play for a championship, which
exactly
take the Bears out of
the Bears out of it.
He said literally like 3 days ago or something that he wants to be in Detroit to return to the Lions. That's what he's hoping.
Well, Detroit has an opportunity to sign him, but I've been big on Zadarius Smith. I like them in Green Bay. I liked him in Cleveland. I liked him in Detroit. I like to see him here. And yes, to your point, I think he would help Austin Booker. I think he would also alleviate some pressure when you got this guy on the outside. I don't think you fall off that much in your pass rush, especially on third downs. You're limiting snaps like you would be with Grady Jarrett, and they come in and they can be effective. I believe Zadarius Smith can get home, create pressures, flush the quarterback out of the pocket. I like him personally more than Judon as well. I mean, if you sign Judon, that's fine. Judon went to Atlanta and had the worst season of his career last year. Is there anything left in that tank? I don't know, but I do know that I watched Darius Smith still excel last year. And he is looking to be in shape. If you go on X, he's working out every single day. He's in tip-top game shape right now, going into training camp. I didn't look into Judon because I would like Zadarius Smith, but that's just me. So
that's a good segue into what I wanted to get into. Brandon, do you got something else? Because I want to talk about this Judon thing.
Well, first, I'm going to address two of these real quick. Turner is a younger DeMarcus Walker. Dante Pierre, I understand, which is a very versatile player in regards to Marcus Walker, but I hope Turner ends up being a better player than DeMarcus Walker.
Yeah.
But Melon Smasher says Bears defense had 20 sacks in the first 7 weeks. Finished the season with 40 sacks. So they had about 20.
About half and half.
Yeah. I mean, they pretty much split that. So Melon Smasher, that says to me that even after the injuries where people said, oh, well, Billings went down, and they were very, that's what they were. They were what they were. It wasn't affected greatly by injury. They weren't a very good pass rush team last year, and I don't know that they are this year. One of my biggest concerns on this Bears team outside of the running backs is this unit. And I mean specifically on the edge, man. These guys are lacking that dude on the edge. I think they are. I think they need. I don't know that it's. Listen, do we just think if we're talking about Jadeveon, or we're talking about Clowney, who was just mentioned?
That's what. Is Clowney an option?
Did he get signed?
He's still a free agent.
I would take Clowney too.
Ben Johnson said Ben Johnson said a month ago Dominic Robinson was one of the most impressive players in camp. Are we just brushing? Is that we're just?
I don't know. We're gonna take that with a grain of salt, and we're gonna see how that goes. I mean, I was a supporter of the drafting of Dominic Robinson when it happened, but he has not shown anything. So hopefully that plays out actually on the football field, but it has not up to this point, so I'm not banking on that, Brandon. But is Clowney an option for you, as Flex asked? Brandon?
No. I think this is.
I like his
four,
ability against the
This is
run.
another
like
4 to
just
6
gonna say that
million.
you took the words right out of my mouth, Dustin.
It's just another $5 to $6 million deal. I
don't think so. I don't think it would.
I
be
don't
that
think so
much.
either.
I mean, 2 to 3 probably.
I took the words out of my mouth again, my friend.
Purple Jesus just dropped us another super chat and says, "What do you call a 400-pound Packer fan? An anorexic?" Fuck Green Bay. What up, Purple Jesus?
Thanks,
You're the
Purple
man.
Jesus.
Thank you so
Thanks for
much. I
being
really
here.
appreciate that.
Oh yeah, man, we appreciate you greatly. That's 2 weeks in a row. Relentless Mikey went a little crazy here. I like Mikey, but he says Turner comp might be a young Julius Peppers. No. Julius Peppers was a fucking stud coming out of college. Like,
Well, they're very different in size.
Yeah, it's very different overall on their play style too. I mean, the Shamar Turner thing that is a tough one. I mean, in terms of a comp, because I don't know, I don't know what we keep talking about his versatility and all that, but like if he was playing just defensive tackle or if he was just playing defensive end in a certain scheme, like it'd be easier to come with that comp. Sean, do you have a comp? Because that was asked as well by Ron, a comp for Shamar Turner.
Ooh,
hell yeah, Dante, we're taking slippers now. Welcome to the party.
I did have one. I'm just going back into
Chase Young last year was on a $10 million contract in over one season. I don't know that he come.
I don't know what that has to do with. We're talking about Jadeveon Clowney.
Or that's what I meant. Jadeveon Clowney had a $10 million salary last year. I don't know that he'd come down to 3 or 4. I don't know. That sounds.
Well, I mean, you could easily look at his
that
projections on over the cap. I mean, if you look on there, they'll have projections. Dom Rom makes the 53-man roster, and I'm feeling worse about our defensive end depth. Flex, that's a good point, man. I mean, listen, Jadeveon Clowney would be somebody I would consider at the right price. Zadarius Smith, the same thing. And honestly, in a pinch, Matthew Judon, guys. But can we touch on this Judon thing? Because I thought that this was something – this is a good segue into another topic we wanted to get into, man.
And really quick, the NFL comp I had for Turner was Braden Fisk. But I will tell you, NFL draft buzz.
What the fuck, Dante? That's too much, man. We got to give that back. I can't take 49. Was that a typo on the decimal point?
Oh, dude. Yeah.
499. Dante's balling out here. Damn. Dropped a 50 burger on us.
Don't you feel so unworthy?
Yeah, no, I want to give that back immediately. I do not want to take that shit at all. Darius, what's up, man? Ron says he's
thank you, Dante, man. That's awfully kind of you.
Ron, who's your player comp for Shamar Turner? Who's your player comp for Shamar Turner? Yeah, that's way too nice. Fuck.
Are you asking me who
No, I was asking Ron because did you give yours? He asked us for our player comps for Shamar Turner, and I mean, it's a tough one, I think. But
Shamar Turner, NFL draft buzz, and I just looked them up. You're not gonna like this.
Yeah, that's not the greatest. It's not going to be the greatest.
Braden Fisk, Zach Pickens.
Yeah, like ceiling floor type of thing, or
it just says
Zach Pickens was the one I saw. I remember that. Yeah.
So I actually had him written down as Braden Fisk based on RAS and a few other things. I'm looking back in my
guys. We got to get an account.
So, I think
we're gonna hit that mark pretty soon where we're gonna get a payout.
I think you'd hope that like Rashawn Gary could be his ceiling, a player like that, man, who can be moved inside and out. They're around the same size.
That's a guy I thought about too, Brandon. I like that. Rashawn Gary would be a hell of a comp. But you see Rashawn Gary, like I think he's a better fit as a defensive end in a 3-4, just based on the way he's performed throughout his career versus a 4-3. But I mean, like that Shamar Turner, that makes a little bit of sense to me. That's a high comp though, because I
agree.
That's what I was saying. That's the ceiling that I hope he'd like. If he reached that, he'd be pretty damn happy with Shamar Turner, I think, right?
Yeah. All right, so let me get into this because I wanted to bring this up, guys. Because
let's get into that.
Yeah, I saw this, and it's just funny when you see like
real quick. Thank you so much, Dante. That's really fucking cool.
Dante, you are
thank you so much.
Thank you.
I feel like
I did not seem too desperate, guys. We've thanked him a lot already.
It just
Yeah, no,
Sean's gonna cry.
it warms my heart.
Okay, so then let's say this since we're still not doing this transition. Let me say this.
we're doing
This shit is no, we're not. No, we're not, because now I'm doing this. This shit is so much fun. This is the best. I mean, besides, I got my daughter just came in here, and I got my family. I love my family.
Yeah, there's all that. Yeah.
But those things are very important, and they're the best thing in life for sure. But like, this is so much fun being here, doing this shit with you guys, Brandon, Sean, Kyle, and the chat and everybody in here. This environment that we're cultivating, and the way you guys bring it every time we come on. I can't believe, honestly, that we even get one person to listen to us talk our stupid shit. So to have all of y'all in here, and then people, dropping super chats, and like, just not expectations that we really had that we got into this with. We're doing this because it's fun and we enjoy it, and we're just real Chicago sports fans in general that want to do this together, and hopefully someone enjoys it. And like, so shit like that is like, it's amazing, and this is amazing. And 4-Star Chicago Sports like loves every one of you, and we appreciate everyone.
And the comment.
Thanks for letting us be here,
Dante.
Thank you.
I mean, we appreciate the money, man, but the comment. I mean, the best podcaster. That's pretty fucking moving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is.
At the end of every show, I'm thinking to myself, like, how could I make this better? Because it's just not where it's.
I'm like, oh my god, that was awful. We just yelled at each other. We just yelled at each other for 20 minutes straight.
Shut the fuck up, Dustin.
I just kicked my camera.
Appreciate you, brother.
Unfortunately, I still see you, Sean.
Okay, so we can make this transition now to this next topic. Right?
Dustin's all about transition.
And the segue. Yeah. I'm gonna segue over there and kick you in the balls until you transition, Brandon. Anyways.
Well, I wouldn't have balls. Go ahead.
Judon Smith, you're seeing this. Albert Breer, Bears are linked to him. The first thought that comes to my head, guys, and I just want to throw this out here. Last year, Ryan Poles was ready to give up a 3rd-round pick for Matthew Judon. And he did not want. And he did not. It gets worse. He did not want to make the trade until he had him signed to a long-term deal. Now, because Judon would not agree to that long-term deal with the Bears, Ryan Poles backed out of it. The 3rd-rounder came from Atlanta, and Judon went there. Imagine if he had. Judon's an idiot too, because he put himself in a terrible spot. He bet on himself. You got to do that as an NFL player at sometimes, but it did not work out for him. And now he's on the scrap heap. He's in the last remnants of free agency, out there for peanuts, a guy that we would have traded more draft capital for and committed more long-term money for, that had 5.5 sacks last year in his worst season. And it seems like Poles kind of gets out and way too far out and ahead of himself on these trades sometimes. So that makes me think, like, you start thinking about the trades that he's made. Keenan Allen last year for a 4th-round pick, no longer on the team. Ryan Bates for a 5th-round pick. Chase Claypool for a 2nd-round pick. Montez Sweat for a 2nd-round pick, and then you had to pay him. You were competing with yourself in that market. You could have waited one more year, just like with Judon here, and he'd be on the free agent market, and then you could just go pay him. You don't have to give up the draft capital. That was my biggest issue. So I get you want to eliminate the competition on the market, but at the same time, like, those draft picks are important. And we were going to give a 3rd round up for a guy that we can get for peanuts right now last year. So I'm just curious what you guys think of all that. I know that's a lot I just threw out there, but thank God Judon's an idiot, because Poles was trying to be an idiot and giving up more draft capital and long-term money to a guy that seems to be regressing in a major way. And that seems to happen often when Poles identifies guys he wants to trade for. Am I crazy?
No. That's
Dustin, and I was thinking about it today, like because we went over that, which was a great show, man, guys. If you go back and check out Ryan Poles, The Good, the Bad, and the Maybe. Me and Dustin did a show going over the timeline of Ryan Poles, but I'm thinking about like the trades that Ryan Poles has made outside of the big one with the Panthers, and your mind immediately goes to these guys and Joe Thuney and Jonah Jackson, but the verdict's still out. I mean, if Joe Thuney were to tear an ACL or something, that, I'm sorry, it's not by way of Ryan Poles. That's a bad trade. The same as like the Yannick Ngakoue signing. The guy was gone for this season. So like it didn't
lends itself to that. Yeah. We just traded multiple picks for these offensive linemen that we're happy about, but like Ryan Poles' past kind of suggests a trend here that's not very good.
Yeah, I would
say with these trading for players in the NFL.
I would say in his history of trying to identify veteran talent and using draft capital, young talent, basically, right? What's that? We'll just say draft
young
capital.
controlled contracts.
Yeah.
Yes.
It hasn't gone well.
No.
It hasn't gone well.
And
He's
we're
way
hoping it goes
below
well
the
with
mark.
these 2 guys. He just did it for this offseason, but we don't know yet, right? We don't. I mean, it seems foolproof with Joe Tooney. Jonah Jackson is a big mystery in terms of health. What if these 2 moves fall flat on their faces too? Like basically every move he's made for players when he's moved draft picks. And I guess you would say besides Montez Sweat, but I mean that's up for debate too in my mind.
If he were to sign Judon and Jamal Williams, I think this offseason might take a hit. as far as giving it I think I gave it a B plus a couple of weeks ago. I think it would drop to a C plus. I don't want anything to do with Judon, man. He went to Atlanta last year. He pretty much shit the bed. 5.5 sacks, 25 pressures, 28 tackles, 16 assisted, 25 solo, 0 interceptions, no forced fumbles. I mean, this guy isn't the guy on the Patriots that was getting 15, 16, 17 and a half sacks.
Thank God we dodged that bullet. Thank God we dodged that bullet.
Would Poles?
I thought he had.
Would it have been better with Eberflus and this whole team that quit?
Oh God, no.
Last season, could it have been better? What was Poles seeing in terms of his projection of that talent level? That's kind of what I'm trying to get at
really
here. Because,
weird.
right? Like, I mean, now we needed the edge rusher, and I get it, but as Erica says here, we need to start developing the players we have. Yeah. We have to do that. We need to hold on to these draft picks and bring guys up through the system. And there's a balance that you got to find. But when you start looking at all the picks that have been traded away and what the Bears have ultimately gotten in return, those 2 things do not equate at all. And Matthew Judon would not have done any better here in Chicago under that failed leadership team of that coaching staff. It's just no fucking way, guys. And now he's available for nothing.
He wouldn't have made an impact on a failing season. We were on a 10-game losing streak. Matthew Judon's not changing that. And I don't know that. And then you talk about the individual, because Matthew Judon's probably better than, Dominique Robinson, sure. But how much improved is the unit, Dustin? I don't like. Is the unit that much better? If you project
the unit last year or the unit,
if you added Matthew Judon now. I mean, if you project the Bears to have 50 sacks and you're adding Matthew Judon, what do you expect out of this unit?
It would be better. It would be better if you added another.
I don't know.
Listen, if you added a veteran edge rusher who has had double-digit sack seasons, I don't see how it could get worse. But it just becomes a rotational edge rusher for you, which the Bears do need. We've established that. So if it's between Judon or Zadarius Smith, you could have worse options. I think.
I think this Bears pass rush unit, at least I'm gonna rank the edge, okay? Just the edge. I think you're looking at a bottom like 24th to 30th in the league. If you add Matthew Judon, you're looking at 22nd to 30th. That's what I mean. I just don't. It doesn't.
Let me ask you this though: if you add Zadarius Smith, are you a little bit higher?
Yeah, I would take Zadarius Smith over Judon based on recent production. But as Relentless Mikey points out right here, Sean, he was dropping back in coverage a majority of his snaps last year in Atlanta. I did not know that. If that's accurate,
he did have an interception. I thought he did.
Yeah, it says in his stats 0 interceptions, 0 forced fumbles last year.
Oh, I thought he had an interception.
Well, I mean. Could it have been just he held out with the
Patriots? He did have one. He had an interception return for a touchdown.
Yep,
Sorry.
Yep.
I was looking at the year before. My bad.
I remember the
Raiders.
highlight.
Was that against the Raiders? I don't remember. I think
he did have 0 forced fumbles, but he did have 1 pick for a touchdown return. 27 yards.
Josh Sweat is not still unsigned, Mountain Smasher. He signed with the Cardinals like almost immediately in free agency. He signed an $18 million a year deal, $19 million.
Like very lucrative deal.
Yeah,
because one of the guys from the free agent list that I picked up and actually really dove into was Xavier Carlton. He had a lot of success at Cal. This guy showed in college the ability to get off the edge and create a little havoc. I think this is another guy that you could look at and maybe have something. I mean, I don't think we're finding a Zadarius Smith or a Matthew Judon in any of these guys, but maybe someone who could be productive. I like Xavier Carlton's size and makeup. I think he's 6'6", like 250. He's a big boy coming off the edge. So
listen, my point with Judon is still remains. He had a very bad season. I'm glad the Bears did not trade for him, but Ryan Poles could not get out of his own way in terms of trying to get this guy on his team for a pick and paying him before he even saw him play for his team. That is an issue to me. But Judon could have just had a bad year last year. He held out through training camp. He was not playing. He was not in shape. And then he gets into a new situation. Maybe that was just a down year and he still can get back to his old form. I'm not going to say that that's an impossibility. And if the Bears were to sign him, I wouldn't be disappointed. I would rather have Zadarius Smith, but I think either guy could fit into that role. But do I agree with Erica here that you should just develop Austin Booker, who I think is in for a great year? Yeah, I do. But I also think a guy like Zadarius Smith could help in that development of Austin Booker, right? So it's like if you were to take a chance on either one of these guys, I don't think it hurts your team. The Bears do need more. And I don't want to count on Xavier Carlton, Sean. I liked him at Cal too.
Oh, 100%.
But like he's boxy, he's kind of slow. I'm not the biggest fan.
He's a practice squad guy. He's a practice squad guy.
So I mean, in terms of what your options are, and what it comes down to for me, Sean, let me say this, and then I'll hear your comment.
Yeah.
If you think you're a playoff contending team, you go sign one of these guys because you need it. If you think that you're a year away and this is a building year to develop, like a guy like Austin Booker, then you want no part of either one of these guys because it's a waste of fucking money and time. That's the way I feel about it.
Or if you if you think one of these guys if you think your coaching staff can develop one of these young players into a player as good as Matthew Judon, then you roll that way. I'm with you, Erica. And I also think this. Dennis Allen is pretty well known for getting pressure in different ways. If he listen, Kyle mentioned a stat on Wednesday's show. I don't remember what the term was. He was the most successful coach given the talent he had. So he made up in play calling. Dennis Allen made up in play calling for the woes on the roster, right? And he was the highest person. They somehow graded it. He
like
had the
a wins above replacement type of thing?
Yes, basically, man. That's why I wanted to say that, but it's like it's baseball term. But like basically what Dennis Allen was ranked number one in, and I think that he's going to approach this unit this way. I think he's going to try to find, if he thinks the front four aren't capable of doing it, this guy's going to do. He's not going to sit on it and think we are who we are. We're not good enough, and that's just what it is. He's going to find ways.
I wanted to hear you guys' thoughts on what I just said. You don't sign one of these guys if you don't think you're a contender for the playoffs.
And I don't think one of these guys makes you a contender.
I think the Bears going into
I think on the right team they do.
Yeah, I think the Bears feel that they put the parts together to compete in the NFC North and be a playoff team this year, but I still do think that the staff and management feel they're a couple pieces short and they're trying to identify them right now. And for me, if I was going to rank these guys, and I don't want to, I just looked up Judon. He's had double sack seasons 2 out of the last 5 years. He's only had 9 sacks in the last 2 years.
He has more sacks than Montez Sweat in that time.
Well, for me, no.
He does. Yeah, he does.
What did Sweat have last year? Well, if you're talking about 5 years,
at that time, he has more sacks than Montez Sweat.
He had the 15.5 and the 12.5.
Yeah, Montez Sweat didn't do
If
that.
I was ranking these guys, and Brandon, I know you're not going to agree with me, but I would probably Darius Smith would be one. I would follow that down by Jadeveon Clowney, and I would put Judon at the bottom. I don't know.
I wouldn't put Judon below Clowney. No, I wouldn't.
Why did you say I would disagree?
Because you just said you didn't want Clowney a few minutes ago.
Oh, I don't want any of them.
You don't want any of them.
You're kind of then you're in that boat of like it's not worth it to spend the money on these guys because you can develop the guys that you have.
I named the guy that I would sign.
Yeah.
What was his name again?
Agbo Akarankwo. That's his name. He played on
What
the
was his name again, Brandon? What was his name again?
It's Agbo, okay?
Agbo.
Leave me alone about it.
I just pulled up.
He's not going to work here.
Guys, I brought this up earlier.
You're talking about, Brandon, you're talking about a guy who has played in the NFL since 2019 and hasn't 17 sacks. And
exactly.
I mean,
how much you gonna pay for that?
Yeah,
but if you're signing someone that you want to that's going to get.
So this goes back to what I was saying, guys, that neither one of you really wanted to comment on. If you think that this guy puts you over the top, you sign him. It's worth it. If you don't, it's not worth it. That's what it boils down to.
I already answered you, Dustin.
What'd you say? What'd you say?
I think that if you
think one of these guys is worth it to put you over the top defensively.
I do. I
Yeah?
do.
Okay, good.
I absolutely do.
I don't think so.
You need a rotation. And if you get a guy like Zadarius Smith again, now you have a professional sack man on the other side of Sweat.
I'm the
Now
sack man.
who are you going to double team? You're going to leave one guy open, and you're going to get that pressure up the middle. I think the Bears' defense front is a little underrated, and I think it'd be very underrated if one of these guys is signed. And for me, I think Zadarius Smith brings the most. If he wants to go to Detroit, obviously Detroit doesn't want him, or they would have signed him already. Bring him to Chicago, but that's just me. I mean, it's fine.
Dante don't want no scrub.
Yeah, I'm with you, Dante.
Let me throw this out here, guys, because we were talking about it earlier, and I'm sure it ain't going to get much play, but I'll just say this because I want to be on record. Asante Samuel Jr. is still a free agent. He will be there. He's on the thumbnail. He is? Why? Why? We weren't even going to talk about him, were we? Okay, hey, cool.
I figured you would.
I didn't notice. Sorry. But listen, Asante Samuel Jr. is still a free agent. This guy is a ball hawk type of guy, like Melon Smasher was talking about earlier in the chat. He's coming off of a very injured season, and he's also saying that he's been dealing with that injury for a long time. So that's scaring teams away. If this guy can be healthy, he is a ball hawk cornerback, and he would be very cheap insurance for the Tyreek Stevenson experiment if that does not go well. I would sign him before I signed any of these defensive ends, and that's adding. That's a luxury. I understand it's not a necessity. So I get what I get where you're coming from. But if I can make a strength that much stronger and have a backup plan there, I would do that for that price, whatever that price is. $1.5, $2 million. I don't expect it to be very much. I would rather do that for a guy like Asante Samuel, who's still 25 years old, has major upside, and could develop into your starting cornerback if Tyreek Stevenson doesn't work out. Again, won't happen. I'm just throwing it out and saying I would do that shit in Madden if it were me. That's all.
So let me ask you this: you would because right now your backups are Terrell Smith, who I really like, showed flashes.
Terrell Smith's okay. He's okay.
You drafted. They drafted Zoff Frazier. His tools are wild, 6'2", fluid hips, long arms.
Bay Frazier, I like him a lot, but he's a year or two away.
Is he a more stash and develop guy?
Yeah, he's a couple years away, man. I don't think he's going to make an impact on that team this year. And if he is, that's showing that's probably a bad thing. I mean, I think he'll hold up admirably if he gets thrown into it, but I would rather have a better backup plan than that. I would. And Asante Samuel is just a stud when he's on the field and he's healthy.
Excuse me, because I don't know what is this injury. I don't know what it is.
I'm pretty sure it was a knee. Let me double check that.
Asante Samuel. Yeah, I didn't even know he was hurt. I mean, I guess that makes a good reason why he's not.
He only played 4 games last year.
I hate to bring the party down, but Adam Schefter was making a connection between the Bears and Naeem Hines or whatever that guy is.
Yeah,
I don't want to.
I want nothing to do with that.
Get that out of here.
Oh shit! Yeah, neck surgery.
Oh, what did they say about his prognosis though?
That was from the year.
I feel better about neck than knee, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
knee is just not good. You just stay the hell away from knee.
Shoulder injury, shoulder issue with stinger symptoms, which he has dealt with since his youth. So that's the concerning thing, is that it's a lingering thing for him. But
just
I mean,
just fucking lingerers.
Can linger. But I again, it's just a wild card I'm throwing out there as like a guy I would take a shot on, given that I'm not as confident in Terrell Smith as you, Sean, and Tyree Stevenson I love, but if it don't work out, I'd like to have a backup plan opposite.
You think there's any chance, Dustin, that Zay Frazier is going to play some football on this team?
I like I said, I don't think so this year, man. I don't think they want him to.
Special teams gunner.
Yeah, not on defense. If he does, then a lot of things went really badly.
What do we think? What do we think of what Erica says here? If you're in all-in mode, Hendrickson is the guy no matter what the cost.
This is another thing, though, where you're trading away more draft picks than you've ever traded away for a player, most likely, and you're forcing yourself to have to pay them an exorbitant amount of money, and you're not competing with anybody.
I don't even know if the Bears have it.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can make it work, man, with the cap. Yeah, there's all kinds of dancing they can do around here. But I mean, I don't want to do that for a guy who's 30 years old, 31. He's in his 30s. I don't want to do that for Trey Hendrickson. I
He'll be
don't.
31 this football season, my
You don't.
friends.
You don't
Listen,
want to
if-
give up multiple
If you're in the chat,
valuable
I think it
picks
was
for
Melon
this guy.
Smasher. Somebody was in here playing Madden, and they had mentioned that the New York Giants might have at some point have to move on from one of the young talents on that defensive line.
Thibodeau, yeah.
I keep my eyes on that situation all day.
I mean, if Thibodeau becomes available, that's a move that you make.
Because he's young.
Yeah.
He's young. You can
Yeah,
commit to
it's-
that. Yeah.
Guys, what kills me is that everyone was in this chat when the Myles Garrett stuff was going on saying, don't trade away all your picks for Myles Garrett. But now it's worth it to do it for Trey Hendrickson. What's changed about this team since that conversation?
I'm not on that. I'm not on that. I don't.
I mean,
want Trey Hendrickson.
Relentless
I-
Mikey.
I was
Relentless
very
Mikey
much
says,
on the Myles Garrett.
I was too, but I would not be the same way for Trey Hendrickson, especially given the fact that I do like Austin Booker, and we've just seen Poles' track record of trading for. We just brought up Matthew Judon, who he tried to trade draft pick for last year and sucked. Imagine if Poles actually pulled that off. And Trey Hendrickson is a better player than Judon probably, but you just said, Sean, Judon was a guy who had 15 and a half sacks. So he has been a good pro that Poles was going to trade for, and it would have shit on it. He would have took a shit on him. And Relentless Mikey says, if that equals a Lombardi, yeah, sure. If you can guarantee me a Super Bowl, hell yeah, make that trade. That's an easy.
Here,
that's an easy
and I'll
answer.
say
Jedediah says Giants have no future, even with the talent they have. They're going to have to sell a lot. Yeah, they have Brian Burns,
They're selling
Abdul
Thibodeau.
Carter.
I'm all over
Kayvon
that.
Thibodeau.
I'm all over that.
They are stacked on that defensive line. There's too much talent
Yes.
on that line, honestly.
I mean,
What's
they're not
up,
going to be able to
Green?
pay them all. So, yeah, you could see something like what happened with Washington when they had to kind of get rid of their defensive linemen because they knew they weren't going to be able to afford to pay them all. And that ended up working out pretty well for Washington, not so well for the teams that traded for those guys.
And now they're all gone. Yeah.
Yeah. Flex Dig says, Bears are riding with Dio. Dude better show up and ball. Yeah, I agree, man. I think you paid this guy. It's not like he got paid peanuts.
And
he got paid $12 million
no,
a
yeah,
year,
he
right?
got paid a lot of money. And not only
Yeah.
that, man, if you sign a Matthew Judon or as Darius Smith, and you're going
What's
to
up,
pay him
James?
like, let's say $6 million, I think Deo's still your starter.
Yeah, it was
So I
pretty
don't know
drastic.
how much snaps are you going to
no.
give to Judon and Zadarius Smith with Austin Booker on this team? I don't know, man. I just
how much do you want to give him? And if you're giving him 40%, 35, 40% snap rate, just getting him in and rotating him, keeping fresh legs out there, and he's just a pass rush specialist, that serves a role on a team that's trying to win football games and go to the playoffs. I think, don't you?
Yeah.
On this team where you're missing the edge rush, you've just said we're missing edge rushing depth.
I
Right?
don't know that it. Well, no, I think we're missing edge rushing starting
Talent.
So I think we're missing the guy. That's what I think we're missing, and I don't think either of these guys are that.
No,
I think you're missing the Myles Garrett. That's what I think you're
to
missing.
get the guy in the draft. I don't think you're going to. I mean, can
I'm all
Thibodeau
for
be
that,
that guy?
Sean.
Can
I'm all for
Thibodeau
that.
be that guy though?
I'm all
Yeah,
for
I think Thibodeau is still developing and could
Yeah,
turn into a
He's
real
24
stud.
years old.
I mean, he showed some flashes last year of
He was a very high draft pick.
amazing ability.
he's
Yeah, he was
24,
drafted 5th overall, I believe, out of Oregon. I mean, the guy
He was
is
very high.
the guy is a stud, and I think he will continue to get better. The potential that he's made available in a trade is extremely low to me. I mean, I don't want to make a move for Trey Hendrickson with this team. The only way I would do it is if I know that that's what puts my defense over the top. So I mean, if you're telling me you're going to give up 2 second-round picks, your next 2 second-round picks for Trey Hendrickson, and then you got to pay him $100 million deal, how does that sound to you guys? That's something you want to swallow right now?
No, I don't want to do that for Trey Hendrickson. No,
But
not
Trey
at all.
Hendrickson is a player I would wait till the trade. If you're going into the trade deadline,
Yeah,
you're
wait
like
till they're
8-1.
desperate. Yeah, or until you're desperate. One or the other. Yeah.
No, let's say you're waiting on you're like 7-2 going in the trade deadline, and you think Trey Hendrickson's the guy that's gonna take you to a Super Bowl. Then you can think about something like that, man. Not right now. No.
And Ron says Bears can't afford it. Flex says Poles love to trade second rounders. He might make a move for a player like Thibodeau. I mean, I would do it for a Thibodeau. He's young enough. He's still got the potential, and he's got the physical ability.
Would you do it for a Brian Burns if that's who they made available? He's paid.
I mean, he just got traded. He just got traded for more than that. What was it? A first and a couple of seconds that the fucking
and got
Giants
paid a lot of money.
Yes, Hendrickson 17 and a half sacks last season, but Judon 2 years before he got traded had 15 and a half sacks. So I mean, again, like these guys can have up and down seasons. Hendrickson's been pretty consistent. And I've always loved Hendrickson, man. Even when he was on the Saints, like you could see.
Here, if we're talking about this 2 years ago, I'm probably more on the train. I'm just at 30, going into 31 during the football season. I'm just not on it. You're going to sign him to a long deal. He's coming to the tail end of his career. He's going to start to slow down. It's just the fact of the body, dude. Bodies start to break down. It is what it is.
It's a lot to give up for a guy that you don't know that doesn't guarantee you anything, and it's a lot to give up, especially after you just signed Dio in free agency.
Melon Smasher says everyone hates on Tom.
I didn't want to show that.
I don't know if everyone hates on Tomlin. He went against the GOAT Brady and Peyton Manning, now Mahomes and Allen. Tomlin down.
This is completely out of context. What the hell is this?
He's thrown in a subject, man. Listen, I got to disagree with the basis of this. I don't know that everyone hates Mike Tomlin besides Pittsburgh.
No, I don't think so. Yeah. I think everyone kind of really respects Mike Tomlin as one of the best coaches in the NFL.
I do. I definitely.
He certainly caught some shit.
I ever missed the playoffs?
Yes, he has missed the playoffs, but he has not gone below 500.
A losing record.
He's never had below 500 in terms of a finishing record. Yes,
James.
But he's been getting shit on recently. Yeah, because
by Steelers fans.
Yeah. But that James, team has not been the greatest that they put together for him to coach.
First off, James, welcome to the show. Second off, when was the last time we drafted an I don't know that the Bears ever who.
Mark Anderson?
Yeah, that was the last good one that they drafted on.
Because all these guys were acquired.
They traded for Julius Peppers. They traded for Khalil Mack.
They traded for what was the guy's name?
Are we talking about Richard Dent?
No, it was the guy's super. No,
I'm serious. I'm being serious.
What was the guy's name with the super long name?
Shea McClellan?
No, he was here during the Super Bowl years, I think, or the Super Bowl year that they lost.
Mark Anderson.
No.
12 and a half sacks. He's a rookie.
Mark Anderson was a rookie that year.
Help me out here, chat.
Adewale
Ogunleye.
He was traded for.
He was a double-digit sack.
They traded for him too. He was on the Dolphins.
Yeah, he was the trade.
I can't remember the last. I mean, it's a good question, James. If you have the answer, throw it up there because I can't remember the last time the Bears drafted a quality edge rusher, man.
People are throwing out Trace Armstrong. I don't know if I even agree with that, but we got some responses to Melon Smashers Mike Tomlin. If everyone hated Tomlin, he would have lost his job a long time ago. Tomlin is one of the best leaders in the league. Many of these Steelers teams had no business being above 500. Relentless Mikey says, I respect the hell out of Tomlin. I think most people do. He's earned that. So, yeah, I don't think that there's really a story.
Yeah, there's some chatter in Pittsburgh. I mean, every team, when you lose for so long, you get that.
They've been in a relationship for a very long time. The luster is wearing off there. That's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a long time since the guy got him to the finish line, and that matters, especially when you're the fan rooting for that team, and it matters. You expect me to be able to expel.
Guys, I hate to say this.
I think you got it.
You got it. There it is. That's it.
I got the list. I got the list here, man. It's not that good.
Yeah,
Keem Hicks was a hell of a fucking player for this defense.
Yeah, he was a monster here. I liked that 3-4, man. I did. I liked that.
I liked the 3-4 in general in terms of a defensive philosophy over the 4-3. To be honest, it's just a more.
Yeah, it was the first time the Bears had done it in my lifetime when they had the Hakeem Hicks and Khalil Mack and those guys. Man, it was different.
So the last time they drafted a defensive end that was an All-Pro, it was Richard Dent, right?
No, I'm looking right now. It looks that way. The last
He's still going back.
I'm googling it. I'm googling it and looking right now. It says the last defensive end drafted by the Chicago Bears with double-digit sacks was Mark Anderson, fifth round pick in 2006.
An All-Pro though? That's Richard Dent.
I don't think he was an All-Pro.
No, Mark Anderson was not. No, I'm saying the last one that the Bears drafted.
Probably Richard Dent.
You spelled it right, Chad. You spelled it right, bud.
Good job, Jed. Thanks for being here. We appreciate you coming through in the
Tommy Harris was epic too, man. And if that guy
Tommy Guns, I met that guy. He wasn't.
If he never tore his leg, man, or that his hamstring, he would have been I love Tommy Harris. I got an autographed Tommy Harris and funny Mark Anderson. I got an autographed Mark Anderson jersey upstairs that says 12 and a half sacks rookie year.
Jedediah. I spelled salmon wrong.
Trace Armstrong was second team All-Pro in 2000. That don't count. Second team.
Yeah, but he was a defensive tackle, wasn't he? He wasn't a defensive.
It counts.
Second team All-Pro. Yeah, it counts.
Nah, I don't know if that counts.
Trace Armstrong wasn't a defensive end, though, man.
That means you're like the second best at the position, man. That's pretty damn solid. Okay. I don't think any player who ever got a second team All-Pro.
I guess he was listed as a defensive end.
I think this conversation has run its course. What else do we got, guys?
We can't think of anybody, guys. We can't think of anybody. We're already pulled over
because there is nobody.
We can't pull over anymore.
Yeah. We're a team. We're a team that lets other teams draft defensive ends, and then we overpay for them. We overpay for them so they can come play for us. After
we poach
find the good ones. That's the Bears thing, That's just,
we get Julius Peppers and Jared Allen when they have gray hair.
I mean, here, you know what? If Leonard Floyd would have developed here, he would have been on that list because he actually developed into a pretty good player. I mean, not Hall of Fame, but he's been.
Yeah, he was solid with the Rams. He was solid with the Niners. Solid with the Bills.
He had no less than 9.5 sacks for like 5 straight years. After
the Bears should have never gave up on that freaking guy. Although I think
Kevin Butler.
I think he was listed as a linebacker though.
Willie Young was a guy that we poached from the Lions. Another
fisherman.
Another guy we did not draft. Dude,
I love Willie Young, dude. After the sack.
So we have never
drafted
All-Pro QB, defensive end, left tackle, wide receiver in the last 20 years. Those are some pretty important positions to not draft a good. Thanks, James.
James, you're depressing.
Philip Daniels. No, he was a free agent too, Dante. We got him from the Redskins.
He was on Seattle before Chicago.
No, he came from the Redskins, I thought.
I thought he was on Seattle.
It's possible.
I think it was the Redskins.
Yeah. Dante, you're trying to throw these guys out here, but they're all free agents. This is what Chicago does. We just pull them off of someone else's roster and overpay for them. That's what we do.
Caleb's the change, guys. Caleb's the change.
He came from Seattle to Chicago to Washington. So
he went to Washington after
the Bears. Yeah, his first 4 years were Seattle. His next 4 years were Chicago. His last 4 years 6 years were Washington.
This is a great conversation, actually, though. Dante, you keep throwing.
It really opens your eyes to how much
or overpaid
stuck at drafting talent.
Just Jesus. Yeah, it's pretty brutal because even if you look at Mark Anderson in 06, he didn't do shit.
Who was it that we poached and he immediately injured himself celebrating a sack while we were getting stomped? Who was that? God damn it. I just saw this clip the other day. Why am I blanking on his name? He did the and snapped his fucking ACL. Who was that? Yeah, man. It was a couple years ago. Oh, damn it. Why am I blanking on his name? Guys, who has that name? Pernell McPhee was not the name. No, Pernell McPhee came from the Ravens. Lamar Houston. There you go. Thank you. Flex.
Oh, that's right.
Thank you, Flex. Yes.
Lamar Houston. Wow.
Yeah, he snapped his damn knee doing the celebration for the sack. That was that season encapsulated on one play for sure. Dante threw out Pernell McPhee. He was the running mate of Terrell Suggs in Baltimore.
What do you guys think? Which unit are you more concerned about, the running backs or the edge rushers?
Edge rushers. Edge rushers, because I think the running game will kind of take care of itself in terms of Ben Johnson with his play calling and this offensive line's improvements. I think the running game was held back just as much as the passing game last year by a terrible offensive line. And we just talked about how this is the most improved unit in football by some people's measures, and they've improved it drastically. The run game will get better because of that and the play calling. So the edge rushing, that's just, you got to beat a man. And we don't have a lot of man beaters. We don't have those guys. Montez Sweat's supposed to be that guy.
Which direction do the Bears? We touched on this conversation a couple weeks ago on a show, and I kind of thought it would be a good topic to discuss. Which direction would you rather the Bears go with their first round pick next year? If it is the way it is,
Jeremiah Love.
It's running back over edge. You're still doing the offense thing, Sean.
Listen,
well,
it depends
I'm kidding with you, man.
Jeremiah Love is a hell of a prospect that would be hard to pass up on.
I'll say this. No, I'll say this. Let's see how the left tackle position works out because the left tackle position in next year's draft is about as deep as it can get. And if we haven't solved that, that would be my biggest need to protect Caleb Williams' blind side.
But Sean, if it's a super deep position, that doesn't necessarily mean you drafted first.
Well, I guess you'd have to see what prospect falls to you. You know, it depends where the draft goes. I'll tell you this. If you're looking at what Ben Johnson wants and Jeremiah Love is there and the Bears are
That's a running back. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he's taking Jeremiah
Yeah,
Love.
100%.
You know? Well, we'll see
I
what
think
kind of season he has at ND this year. If he has a big season, he might propel himself into the top 5.
What do you guys think in the chat? Okay, so we're already getting some. James Christo says left tackle. Flex Dig says defensive. Okay, but Sean did send us this list, guys, and I actually it was something that I had touched on probably about 2 months ago when we were kind of arguing about.
Say it's way too early to talk about this.
We were talking about this when we talked about Trapillo. If the offensive tackle position is really deep, I don't know that that's the place you go first. If the Bears needed both an edge rusher and a running back, I think Ben Johnson would take a running back before an edge rusher.
Brandon, this is why it's way too early because you don't know who's going to establish himself in the college season. You don't know what needs are going to show themselves for the Bears if new ones pop up. You don't know how deep any of these classes are going to be because these guys haven't even performed for a season. So
I'll tell you
this. It's tough to speculate on for me, to be honest.
Major need I still think for the Chicago Bears is a front line linebacker to bring back the Bears tradition.
Ron says
I'm with you, Ryan. Let's get a kick. First round.
Erica
Who was
says
that? Sebastian Janikowski. Was he the last kicker taken in the first round?
The only kicker.
The only kicker taken.
Melon Smasher, I know you're not bringing up Justin Fields right now. Way to really bring the mood down, man. It's fucking depressing. Justin Fields is not comparable to fucking Caleb Williams.
I thought we were past this.
Relentless Mikey says edge by a mile. We just got to show some kind of restraint when it comes to showing Melon Smashers comments. Some are really good and some are like just throwing us off a little bit. But let's just Melon, we love you. Thanks for.
But he always gets the chat going.
Yeah, he does. He's
a backup in Pittsburgh. The question is not even why was Fields a backup in Pittsburgh. The question is why did Pittsburgh not move forward with Justin Fields as their future quarterback? Because if you're from the outside looking in. The Pittsburgh Steelers just signed the guy from the team that Justin Fields went to. I mean, the Steelers felt Justin Fields was not only not good enough to be their future quarterback, they felt Justin Fields was going to the Jets. We'll take what the Jets had last year on this fucking team. So that's not good. That's not a good testament to Justin Fields.
Yeah, I don't think it's good for either one of those teams.
No.
I don't think it's good for the Steelers or the Jets.
You just traded.
Yeah, but listen, when it comes to the Bears draft next year, I think needs got to establish themselves. I think players got to establish themselves. But if Jeremiah Love is there and he's healthy this season, that's a no-brainer to me just because of the level of talent that he is. I'll say that. But edge rusher could change. If Austin Booker comes out and has 8.5 sacks this season, guys, we're going to be feeling a lot better. If Dio comes out and has 10 sacks this season, opposite of Montez Sweat, we're going to feel a lot better about our defensive ends than we do right now having this conversation. Don't you agree?
I mean,
you have to, right?
Unless Montez Sweater.
Montez will naturally be playing against less double teams and perform better. You would hope, Sean.
I was a joke.
I'll say this.
I understand.
The thing that I don't think will change is the linebacker, running back rooms. I don't think there's anything here that's going to change your minds.
I still would have taken Jihad Campbell at number 10 in this draft.
100%. 100%.
And I still would kind of wish the Bears would have just done that and just thrown everybody for a loop and just gone Jihad Campbell at number 10.
I'll tell you, my reaction at the draft party would have been a lot different.
Yeah, I would have been fucking stoked. I would have been stoked. I mean, the Eagles got another fucking steal. I don't know how they keep doing it, man, but I would have loved to see Jihad Campbell on the Bears. I think Colston Loveland's going to be a good player, but yeah, there's just something special about Jihad Campbell. So yeah, the linebacker position is a huge concern. We're not even talking about that throughout this entire
Chiefs put the Eagles in the position to make that pick when the Chiefs could have used that guy instead of signing Bolton to a fucking
Bolton.
$1 billion.
Bolton is a good player, guys.
I was going to say I was reading about,
but Jihad Campbell's a rookie with a contract that doesn't compare to that, man.
Yeah, but Bolton is really loved. And when I was reading about free agents going into the season, they said he's a key cog that keeps that locker room together. I never thought that Kansas City was going to let him go.
Dude,
He's
there was
really
there
well
was there
respected by
was
that
rumors
staff
that
and
if
organization.
there was rumors that if he had had more time to test the market, that Ryan Poles, who was on the team that he played
Oh,
for,
I'm sure. I would take
would
Nick
have.
Bolton. Nick
Flex.
Bolton better than either one we got.
Flex, you're my brother from another mother. Me and Brandon have been saying this from the jump. We continue to harp on this. Took less to send Fields to an ideal situation for Fields. How'd that go? We got less draft conversation, and Justin couldn't get on the same page with Tomlin. That trade sucked for us.
Oh, it was
all
a
the way.
slap in the face.
It's
Hey,
malpractice. It's
when we did
organizational
that
malpractice.
again, go watch the Ryan Poles, the good, the bad, and the maybe, because when we did that show, I said it was the most egregious thing Ryan Poles has done as the general manager of this football team. More so than the Claypool trade. When you willingly accept less from a
For
team
the team that you
just so
work
that
for.
the player who's leaving your team can be happy, you're slapping the rest of the players on your actual team in the face, man. Because they're like, oh, well, he did it because he's a player guy. He takes care of his players. What about the players that are still playing on the football team?
We could have
You
used the
know,
best pick possible
yeah,
to make this
there's
team
some
a little better
perspective
so we
there.
can win some
You don't
fucking
think some
football
of the guys on
games.
that team were like, wait, we could have had a third round pick for this fucking guy? Yeah, I don't know. I didn't love it. I don't like it. And I thought
James says he would have drafted Mikael Williams. I love Mikael Williams. He's on the Niners. That was a good
I
pick
think
for
the
them.
Bears
And that
considered
was a
it.
guy. That was a guy I would have been okay with at 10. Jihad Campbell, I would have been ecstatic with. Mikael Williams, I thought was the best edge rusher to get at 10. And I would not have been upset if the Bears drafted him.
If the Bears went defensive, I would have gone Jade.
Jade Barron is a stud. Oh, is that Brandon freezing? Sean, you were not talking, so you're throwing me off a little bit.
Sorry, no, I
thought I froze because you were just frozen. All right, Brandon's gone. He'll get back. He was in the middle of saying he would have taken Jade Barron. God damn it, Sean, get it together, man.
You know what? If I was going defense at 10, I'm with you.
Campbell.
I would have went Campbell. He was one on the short list of defensive players. I wouldn't have minded maybe Mike Williams. Erica, no. Mike Green.
No
too many off-field sexual assault, sexual abuse, whatever the hell his problem is. Yeah, I'm good. I don't need that in my locker room or around my team.
I would have gone Jade Barron.
Jade Barron might end up being the best cornerback in this draft. I think he could end up being the best cornerback in this draft. Did Brandon freeze again? Yeah, he did.
Yeah, and those Mike Green allegations are
Mike Green
assault twice. Yeah, I'm good.
He fell very far because of that. And
he's probably going to live in prison.
Well, the Ravens got a steal if he plays.
Although the American justice system just let us down with P. Diddy. So who fucking knows?
Are we gonna have a P. Diddy conversation right now?
Don't get me started on how disgusted I am with the American justice system right now, because that is.
Listen, it's the same shit.
Unbelievable,
Sean. It's always been this way. I don't know. It's always been this way.
It just lets you. It just showed you if you have money, and now they're bullshitting us with Jeffrey Epstein. And you know, this mobster guy who was sharing prison with him was like, dude, there's no way, physically impossible, no way for this guy to hang himself in his room. I was in the same kind of room. He just in an interview. It's just a whole bunch of bullshit. They killed this fucking guy to protect their asses, and they let P. Diddy off. The American justice system can kiss my ass. You deserve an F. You failed America.
Yeah, I mean, to come out and say that there's no list at all. Yeah, it's fair after all that they did, all the walking back and forth they did on that. Yeah, it's very strange.
There's a client list.
How can there be people that were trafficked if there weren't people to traffic them too? That doesn't make any sense. That math doesn't work, guys.
Erica, I hope. But what I heard was the two charges were 20 years, and he'll probably get off with half that time. So there's a chance right now he's going to get double time. I heard double time served or something for however long he's been in there, and he'll be out in 5 years or some shit like that. That's not long enough.
Just for what is on video of him doing to that girl, he should be in jail for a pretty damn long time. Yeah.
Jeez, dude. The one he was
froze
dragging
for a little
through
bit,
the hotel.
and I came back, and this is.
Now we're talking about Diddy. Yeah. Brandon, you were trying to talk about Jade Barron. You missed your moment. Sean swooped in with P. Diddy, and now we're
the Mike Green stuff started with sexual allegations.
No, I know. I could tell what led into that. At least I thought.
All right, I'm done with the American justice system and P. Diddy. I don't want him on my podcast.
I think we might be able to get him now.
Live from Leavenworth.
Jed wants a spot if we start up a conspiracy podcast. Jed, I think you would be amazing at that. I could see that. Yeah, if there's no list, then why is Ghislaine in jail? Yeah, that's a very good point.
Yeah, there's a fucking list. There's always a
list.
Any business has the list.
Yeah. Speaking of lists, our top 10 worst Bears drafts at defensive end list.
Oh God, where do we begin?
No,
I'll throw one name out there at the running back room, and you guys are probably going to be like, "Get the fuck out of here!" But this guy has performed every opportunity he's had in the NFL. It's been small bite sizes, but when he does, he's been a solid running back. If the Bears are going to bring in anybody for a just in case an injury happened, give me Dearness Johnson.
Was he on the Bears?
Dearness Johnson.
Yeah, he was on the Bears. Go look at him when he gets an opportunity. Go look at his numbers.
I mean, but like it doesn't. I feel like anybody who gets that opportunity is going to put up those numbers.
I think I'd be happier with Ian Wheeler than Dearness Johnson, to be honest.
Ian Wheeler's still got an outside chance. Everyone seems to forget about him, but I'm just saying, if you're going to go sign someone, I'd rather have Johnson over Jamal Williams. That's for damn sure. I don't want anything to do with Jamal Williams. Keep that guy as
I don't see any moves here. I don't see any moves here at the running back position. I think they think they've got three guys that they can handle the load amongst the three of them.
I don't know about that.
Worst draft pick, Bears draft pick ever. Do we think so?
Curtis Enos. I put Curtis Enos on the list.
Kevin White was a bad one.
Kevin White didn't play.
I mean, honestly, Mitch Trubisky. The results were no better than what
because you traded to move one.
Traded up when they weren't even the Niners were no. There was no threat for anyone else to come up and get the best quarterback.
That was competing with yourself.
Justin Fields trading up to get him at number 11. I mean, Ryan Pace did it twice.
I think Kevin White. Because not only was he a bad player, he was just never healthy.
Guys, Shea McClellan, I think might be one of the worst first round draft picks of all time.
How about Chris Williams?
Chris Williams was better than Shea McClellan.
Michael Haynes?
Michael Haynes was really bad.
Oh, there's another defensive end we drafted that sucked.
Yeah. I think I like that pick better than Shea McClellan, though, still, to be honest.
What about
was Shea McClellan the same draft as Adam Shaheen? If that was together, that is.
Adam Shaheen.
I don't think. No. Shea McClellan was drafted by Phil Emery, I believe, and Shaheen was drafted by Ryan.
No, Shaheen was the same draft as Tariq Cohen, I think.
Yeah, well, Shaheen was a second round pick. I know that.
Yeah, I know. I don't think the Bears had a first that year.
Gabe Karimi was better than all these guys we're listing, and he wasn't that good, but he at least he was serviceable at his spot.
Are we just talking about first round draft picks?
Yeah. Worst Bears draft pick ever. Well, he's saying worst Bears draft pick ever, but
I'm sticking with Kevin White. That's my.
I think it's got to be first to really have the effect, though, Sean.
Curtis Penis is on my list.
Kevin White was the seventh.
Curtis Penis is really bad. Rashawn Spellman.
Oh God,
there's what about David Tyree? What about David Tyree, guys?
Is Cedric Benson anywhere on that
David
list?
Terrell?
David Terrell. There you go. Sorry.
David Terrell. I definitely put David. I hated David. He's probably my most hated Bear ever.
David Terrell out of Michigan. Yeah.
Even more so than Rashawn Salam.
Yeah, because
that guy almost killed a
bunch
of
people.
people.
At least Rashawn Salam was a pothead. Oh no, he wasn't a pothead. That was Ricky Williams.
You
Was
know,
Rashawn
Rashawn
Salam
Salam
the pothead?
was the guy who
Rashawn Salam
had a
held a bunch of people hostage,
situation.
and Mike Singletary had to go talk him down.
Did he really?
Yeah.
I must have missed
Rashawn
that.
Salam had people at gunpoint while the cops had to surround yeah, he was dead.
Would you
I mean,
guys put
does
Mark,
it get worse?
Did you put Mark Colombo on that list?
We should. I mean, we're basically just naming every Bears.
Wait, are we doing a most racist
Yeah.
list? What are we doing here now?
Todd
Yeah, we've had some
Sauerbrunn
pretty
is-
bad ones, boys.
Yeah, I think shit. Melon Smasher says it here. Taking Torrey Hunter over what we could have had in the 4th round. I mean, obviously, you're not looking for Bucky Irving. I don't think with that draft pick, but you could have addressed many other needs than punter. So I think that was a bad draft pick too. To be honest,
Did anyone say Cade McNown?
that was how this whole conversation started.
Oh shit! Sorry.
Relentless
I must have
Mikey.
missed that.
Yeah, Relentless Mikey threw that out. That was
I still say Kevin White. Kevin White is the worst pick the Bears ever made. And if he was the 7th overall pick,
Cedric Benson's a good one.
I
Kevin
said
White's a good one.
Benson.
But here, Brandon, as you say that, David Terrell was the 8th overall pick, and God, Kevin White at least had, I don't know.
No, I think David Terrell might have actually done more.
He had some touchdown
statistically
catches and shit.
than Kevin White, but David Terrell was bad. Yeah, I mean, I think Cedric Benson deserves to be in that conversation for sure.
He sucked until he left Chicago, and then he became a stud in Cincinnati.
Kevin White. What is Kevin White's career stats?
I think the most yards he had in a season was 400.
Kevin White?
If that.
I don't think he had that in his season.
If that.
I'm looking him up right now.
No, the most he had in his season was 187.
Ooh,
Oh my God! Really?
Kevin White. Hold on. Kevin White's statistics. Okay, as a rookie, 19 receptions, 187 yards. Second year, 2 receptions, 6 yards. Third year, 4 receptions, 92 yards. Fifth year, 1 reception, 38 yards. Last year that he played in the league, 2 receptions for 70. The guy had 28
400 yards
receptions.
total. I was saying 400 yards total, Brandon.
Yeah,
That's what
397. 28 receptions for 397 in his career. That is the worst pick the Bears ever made with the 1st round pick, man. I mean, it doesn't get worse than that, bro.
You know, though, you have
This
to.
guy
look
had
at it.
2. This guy had Justin Jefferson gets that in 2 games.
Yeah, but you have to say too that it's very unfortunate all the injuries.
Yeah,
that
David
this guy
Terrell was
had.
not throughout. Yeah, I think that's a good conversation between David Terrell and Kevin White. But yeah, Kevin White was a major bust, very much. I mean, look at Cade's stats. Let's read off Cade McNown's stats.
Oh God. Yeah, David Terrell, his best year was 699, and it wasn't really close after that.
Yeah, he was much
far better
producer.
than Kevin.
Much
White.
better producer than Kevin White.
Yeah.
Yeah, but let's not.
Oh, hey, wait, hold on. Kevin White did have a rush for 9 yards once.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah, that guy fucking dude. We can talk about the injuries
Well,
all day, but when Kevin White was playing,
he was
wasn't
never really. He was never healthy though, man. Like he never was really healthy. That injury, I think, was way worse than.
Dude, he broke his leg and had a rod put in it, and then broke his ankle. Or yeah.
Does anyone got Cade McNown stats?
Yeah, he had his rookie year, 1,465 yards, 8 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, and his second and final year in the league, 1,646 yards, 8 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Oh God, a 54.6 career completion percentage.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I mean, I think it's got to be between McNown and Kevin White. Dante asks, "Are you guys touching Justin Tucker after he comes off suspension?"
No.
No, it's funny because he's on suspension for asking people to touch him.
And he's on suspension for majority of the season, I think.
Would you guys throw Stan Thomas on that list?
I saw that name thrown out there. Throw it in the hopper. Yeah.
Did it? Or Alonzo Spellman? Anyone put Alonzo Spellman up there?
Well, Brandon brought up. Oh no, I brought up Alonzo Spellman.
Did you?
Yep.
Every
Tucker
year.
suspended-
Was
Tucker suspended
Spellman
for
the one
10
who went
games.
crazy and chopped down all the trees and shit?
Who?
I don't know, but he
In the
didn't hold
forest?
any. He didn't have hostages. So.
No, I think he did. I think Alonzo Spellman went crazy, dude.
I
I'm
thought it
gonna
was.
look it up.
I thought that was Rashawn Salam, but I always got those two confused.
Rashawn Salam was
I was just a
definitely the
young
guy.
boy.
Rashawn Salam was definitely
Yeah.
the guy who had hostages, and I think Mike Singletary talked him out of like I don't even
So
remember how it
Spellman
went.
was released, but then he got in trouble. He was released, and then damaged property at his brother's home was taken to a psychiatric ward. He was later arrested on charges of interference with a flight crew, although doctors confirmed that he was bipolar. Spellman was determined to be legally sane and spent 18 months in federal prison.
Spellman went crazy. Mr. T cut down the trees. Mr. Tree.
It was Mr. T. That's right.
Yeah, Mr. T
And
had the
then-
big house in Lake Forest over there off of fucking
And then,
Sheridan.
by the way, Rashawn Salam's body was found with a revolver sitting next to him by a homeless person. I mean, like, it didn't get better after the hostage situation. And that
Yeah,
guy
this
was a
is not a-
Heisman. That guy was a
He was a
Heisman winner.
Heisman Trophy
I
winner.
guess it's not very.
So wait a minute,
not
Rashawn
very
Salam's
comical.
dead? I don't think I knew that either.
Yeah,
It's
he's
not
dead.
very comical.
He died in 2015.
Holy shit.
Mike Singletary dropped his pants to de-escalate the situation. Jed, you're the best.
I mean, come on.
Can't
That
play
would
with
be
him.
escalated.
Can't coach with him. Can't do it.
Can't do it. It's fucking great.
This has been a fun show, guys. What else do
Yeah.
we got? What else do we got?
I think that's about it, fellas.
Okay, that's fine by me.
Instead of Ryan Pohl's worst trade, we went Bears' worst draft picks.
Yeah, of all time, yeah, which is most of them. It's most of their picks. It's most of them.
Yeah, it would be a much
Actually
longer
had
show
that good
to
run.
put together a good draft pick list.
They had that good run though. And Jerry Angelo
Starting
had
with
that 5-year
Urlacher.
run.
Yeah, starting
They
with
got
Urlacher.
us to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That was mostly players that they drafted, but it's been pretty bleak. I mean, 83, obviously. 83 was probably the best year by far.
They drafted most of that team. They drafted Tommy Harris. They drafted Lance Briggs. They
Yep.
drafted Mike Brown. They drafted Brian Urlacher. They drafted Charles Tillman. They drafted most of that
Yep.
team.
That Jerry Angelo, and that's I've always said this, dude. Jerry Angelo
Devin
might have been a
Hester,
pud.
one of the best draft picks of all time.
Dude. The
Yeah,
guy
Jerry
had a
Angelo
solid
did a
draft
damn good
picks,
job.
man.
He did. I mean, I think time just ran out on it. They got close. They couldn't do it. Jerry Angelo is
But if you watch
the
it,
best GM this team has had.
but if you
No,
but if
by
you
in my
watch
far.
it,
lifetime.
if
Yeah.
you watch it though, how did you guys ever see the video of him deciding to draft Devin Hester over whatever receiver they were thinking about?
Laz was waiting for us to start yelling at each other before he chimed in. He says it's a better show when you guys are yelling at each other at one another.
Did you guys ever see that?
Sorry,
the
Laz.
video of Jerry Angelo making the decision to draft Devin
Yeah.
Hester? He's talking about Devin Hester and another player, wide receiver, and they're like, well, which guy do you think? And Jerry Angelo's like, well, Hester's not gonna not do nothing. Like, it's just like what kind of art? He's gonna do something. He's not gonna do nothing. That's what he said.
Keep it simple, Keep
Yeah.
it simple, stupid. That's what football is. Man.
The famous words. He's not gonna do nothing.
Tank Johnson. Yeah, I
And
love Tank.
he certainly did not.
Sam Hurd was moving weight.
Oh, Tank Johnson. That's one of our criminal records. Yeah.
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 Craig
That guy had
Was
that
Tank
guy had,
Johnson
like-
the one who jumped out of the pool? No, that wasn't him.
No,
that
was
That was Nick
Gilbert?
something. Nick. He was the defensive tackle, man. The fuck was his name?
Tank Johnson's the guy who had as many firearms unregistered as he did solo tackles in a season. It was like 23 or
No.
something like that.
Yeah, and Sam Hurd very shortly after that was moving some weight. Got caught with that. I remember that story. Yeah, guys, that's a good way to end the show. Bears criminal records. What else? You got anything else?
Next week's hangover.
Oh, what you call it? Someone put up in here.
Jerron Gilbert. There you go.
Jerron Gilbert. Yeah, that's what I said a couple
You
seconds
did
ago.
say that. You did say that.
Yeah. I thought it was Jerron Gilbert. Tank Johnson was a beast of a man, though, dude. Too bad he couldn't put it all together because he was built like a tank.
Who's the kid that's on the team? The center that's on the team now? Doug Kramer.
Jed says I've tried the not gonna not do anything line in job interviews. Did not go well.
Doug Kramer pushed.
Well, I'm not gonna not do anything.
Doug Kramer pushed a Dodge Ram up a hill. Oh, they
Yeah.
ever saw
Sorry,
that.
guys. I'm fresh off of like almost 3 weeks of vacation. I'm still relaxed. No arguing this week.
Yeah, we're all good. We're all good. I think our personalities show just fine. Listen, Dante threw $50 in the super chat. Got to give a special shout out to him. I feel like we got to. I don't know. We'll talk about that and figure something out.
Oh,
Dante,
I got something in the background. Dante.
Very good. Razzle, Jed, Breaking News, Bruce, Relentless Mikey, Flex Diggs been killing it. Melon Smasher as always. Laz jumped in, wishing we were fighting more. Erica was in here. Yeah,
Why don't you just say Cole Komet or something?
yeah. Amphioris checked in. I didn't even see him. Amp, what's up, man? Thanks for being here, brother. Guys, please make sure you hit that like button if you have not already. I'm sure you are all subscribed, but please share it with a friend. Tell them how much fun you guys had tonight because we were talking some shit. We were just having a lot of fun. We're just like dudes hanging out in the garage talking Bears.
Really quick, guys. Mm-hmm. Starting this Wednesday, I'm barely there. We're gonna start breaking down. We got about 10 weeks to the first football game that means something. 10 Sundays, I think. It's 9 Sundays coming up this week until Bears football. We're gonna start breaking down fantasy football by positions, ranking, and then we're gonna get some fantasy teams with these two knuckleheads that are here. We're gonna combine and give you guys some fantasy knowledge starting this week, this Wednesday,
Platinum
through the start of the season.
And on Thursday night,
we're gonna have to back that up on the 4-Star Chicago Sports website to
yes.
Thursday night, me and Dustin are gonna have a show, and we'll decide what it's about an hour before.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about Michael Madsen, or we'll figure something out.
Yeah, God rest his soul. Who was Julian McMahon? I don't know. People probably don't know Julian McMahon, but he passed away too. So we should be expecting one more.
I saw that Julian McMahon did pass away.
Yeah.
Dude, will you be live in preseason? We're gonna figure out some live stuff for sure. Regular season, probably more so than preseason.
Julian McMahon was the Nip Tuck guy, right? The doctor.
I think he was on Nip Tuck, but he was on FBI's Most Wanted, the show I watched him on. And I just want to say, guys, when it comes to these live shows,
Dr. Doom from the original Why can't anyone make a good Fantastic Four movie? Why is Fantastic Four movies like?
I forgot that was Julian McMahon.
Yeah, he was Dr. Doom in there. They're doomed to fail. Those movies are always awful.
A new one just came out.
It looks worse than all of the other ones.
Terrible. Yeah. And really quick, guys, we are going to we got 6 prime dates. And I'm already in the process of rolling out some stuff, talking with River Street and a new sponsor that we're going to have here very shortly. Probably 2 new sponsors we're going to have here really shortly. And I know time's creeping up on us, but it's going to happen really, really soon. One might be a hockey bar, so that might be reserved for the guys who play on the cold steel on ice, but we got some things coming up here in the near future. I promise you we're going to be doing some live stuff. Brandon, Kyle, and I will be at the Bears home opener. We're going to be doing some interviews with some fans. Brandon, I got some great ideas for you. Something that we did here today. We can ask fans in the parking lot just to get some content.
Having sex with old ladies and bear traps. Those are my two bugaboos.
That's what I like to do on opening day.
And then I think I'm actually going to a preseason game. It's exciting as that's not going to be, but so yeah, maybe try to find some content and all of that, guys. But for sure, some live shows on the way.
Yeah, and we're trying here. We're trying really hard. It's just so hard with this gosh darn Cubs schedule. We're trying to do a live date for the Cubs. I was actually just talking to River Street about the other day. It's just nothing lines up with them playing like the Cardinals or the Brewers. The Yankees are this weekend.
Well, you got the day games and shit too.
Yeah, it's so difficult with the Cubs, but we're working on it. I'm gonna come up with something so we can do. We gotta celebrate this Cubs team.
Check that out, though. Oh Jesus, Caleb fucking Williams.
That's from last year's home opener, baby.
What's a Cubs? Relentless Mikey, you killed it in the chat today.
Yeah, all of you guys did a great
job. Mikey, man. Chase your career in comedy, bro. Relentless Mikey's always killing it.
Hey, don't forget, we'll be back Wednesday, Barely There podcast, Thursday, Bare Minimum, and Saturday, the Northside 9 does return. And man, do we got some bullets after 2 weeks off. Oh my!
By the way, first off, real quick, say a Suzuki right now. my God, how is that fucking guy not an all-star?
Leading the league in RBIs, 6
So-
in home
and not
runs.
an all-star.
Yeah,
You want to
And
hear this? You want to hear this
And
stat?
second, guys,
Weird.
hold on. We don't do this a lot on this show, and we'll probably have to at some point in our lives do a little more of it. But and for all the people in the chat are probably going to hate this, but the White Sox pulled up their number one prospect, and the kid is on fucking fire. The kid is on fire.
Yeah.
Colston Montgomery is the shit. That kid's
Here,
awesome.
Brandon, because I had to look into this, so I looked this up today, dude. Seiya Suzuki is the first guy since it was a Detroit Tiger in 19. It was either 29 or 39. He had 103 RBIs at the All-Star break.
Yeah, I was gonna say it had to have been a long time ago.
Yes, that didn't make the All-Star game. So this is an anomaly. The fact that this dude is not in the All-Star game, and what did he do when he didn't get in there yesterday? Yeah, hit a home run, 3 more RBIs, another double. Like, hey, I belong there, and I hate to
He is on fire, dude.
Nico Horner deserves to be there as much as anybody else as well. The Cubs Michael Busch should be there.
He's making that.
Guys, the Cubs have one of the best records in baseball. In general, you see multiple players, like a good amount of players, go to the All. I mean, the All-Star game's bullshit, anyways. But
they have 3. They have 3 in there.
R.I.P. Bobby. R.I.P. Guys, R.I.P. Bobby Jenks. 44 years old.
Yes, R.I.P.
44, dude. 44 years old, guys.
He's 2 years younger than me, man.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, I mean, he's like 6 years old.
Yeah, that sucked to read. I liked Jenks.
I couldn't imagine, man. Take care of your health, guys. Make sure you're getting
that White Sox championship.
Make sure you're getting checked up, and work out, eat right, guys. Take care of yourselves. Bobby Jenks lived a hell of a life, but he probably didn't do things he should have done to preserve his body, and we all need to be doing that. Man. That's what that makes me think of.
When Ozzie Guillen would go get him from the bullpen, he would point to the bullpen and then put his arms out wide, like, give me the fat guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, love Ozzie.
I love Ozzie Guillen too. Look, guys, I hate the White Sox, but I do like some players and White Sox history.
Look at your feet, Russell says.
Paul Konerko is good shit, and so is Colson Montgomery. I'm rooting for that kid, man.
Here, I'll tell you, I love Robin Ventura. I loved Carlton Fisk. Absolutely love Carlton Fisk, and I agree with you. Paul Konerko was that dude. Yeah, Konerko. He was that dude.
Dante says he unfollowed us on X after all the Cubs content. Sean, you got to back off on the Cubs content.
Oh, boo.
Dante, are you a White Sox guy?
Are you a Cardinals fan?
No, probably a Sox fan, or just doesn't like baseball at all, I would imagine. Because,
absolutely. Thank you. God bless you, Mikey.
Yeah, man. Glad you're still with us, and hopefully you're taking care of yourself now after that. And hopefully that doesn't creep up on you again. Thank you for being here.
You got anything else?
Southside, Dante, Southside.
You got anything else you want to say?
I'm sorry, Dante. I'm sorry.
That's all right, Dante.
That sucks for you.
Colson Montgomery, Dante. That dude's a stud. You got anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
Fuck Green Bay! Fuck Green Bay! Fuck Green Bay! Fuck Green Bay! Fuck Green Bay!
Fuck Green Bay! Fuck Green Bay! Fuck Green Bay! Yes, sir!
Just be the guy. Just be the guy, please.
What a fucking fun time this was tonight, guys. Thank you all for being here. Share this with a friend. Have a great rest of your night, guys. Bear down, right?
God bless. Bear down,
Love you all.
everybody.
Love you all.
Ready?
Yeah.